Chapter 343. Su Qianxi felt even more uncomfortable. He was under the blanket, so close. Why did he have to run so far away? Closer, closer. Feeling wronged, Su Qianxi suddenly threw off the blanket and let the cold air hit her. However, in less than 2 minutes, she was so sad that she wanted to cry. Sobbing, she said, "It's so hot." Li Xiqing glanced at her and said quietly, "If it's hot, take it off." Take it off. She also wanted to take it off, but was it really okay to take it off next to him, in front of him? Would he think that she was trying to seduce him? However, it was really uncomfortable. "I'm sleeping. I won't look at you," he said, turning his back to her. She struggled for a moment, got up, and took off her dress. After that, he could not stay calm anymore. Resisting the desire to turn around and take a look, all he could think about was her body. She was definitely not wearing it. Su Qianxi had taken off her dress, but it was still so hot, so hot. Her mouth was dry, and her body wriggled restlessly. Burrowing into the quilt, she trembled with the quilt covering her body. Li Xiqing pretended to turn around unintentionally, and his hand fell on her with a snap. She shivered and couldn't help moaning. Li Xiqing's heart skipped a beat, but he quickly took his hand back. Gritting her teeth, she tried to hold it in for a few minutes. Finally, she couldn't help it and whispered, "Mr. Li, yes? I feel so bad. Yes, the fever is bad, but it will be fine if you can bear it." She stopped talking, curled up, and sobbed in a low voice. Li Xiqing was going crazy and almost roared, "Why are you crying? Beg me, beg me. Beg me, and I will give it to you." However, she did not say anything. Even though his body was reacting, he did not want to move closer. However, in less than a minute, Su Qianxi's hot hand reached over. He caught her hand and asked in a low voice, "What?" Feeling relieved, she took her hand back and turned her back to him. Li Xiqing cursed inwardly. In the end, he couldn't help but reach out and touch her back. He asked seriously, "Where do you feel uncomfortable?" Su Qianxi shivered slightly and involuntarily leaned closer, not speaking. She really wasn't wearing anything. Suddenly feeling blood rushing to the top of his head, Li Xiqing endured the pain. He moved his hand and put it on her waist. "Here." She moaned, but soon gritted her teeth and did not say anything. Pretending not to hear her, Li Xiqing slid his hand down to her belly. "Or here." She couldn't stand it anymore and yelled, "Don't touch me." It was rare for Li Xiqing to be so obedient. He took his hand back and said, "Okay, then I'm going to sleep." Then she heard him turning over. Su Qianxi really wanted to slap herself. Feeling her body tremble because of him, it was so comfortable. She was even more dizzy, and her consciousness was blurred. Her hands wrapped around his back and touched his chest. Li Xiqing's lower body was aching. Feeling her initiative, he did not move. Su Qianxi's movements became bolder, and her hand reached down. Chapter 344. Su Qianxi did not get what she wanted. Feeling extremely weak, she whimpered, "I didn't." "Then what did you want to do?" Su Qianxi did not say anything and lowered her head guiltily. However, she reached out and put her leg on his. Taking her hand back, she climbed onto his back, put her arms around him, and put her lips on his. He tilted his head up, and she kissed nothing. Her fragrant lips fell on his Adam's apple. He felt even more restless. However, his eyes were as calm as if nothing had happened. Looking at her, he asked, "Don't you hate me? Why did you kiss me?" Su Qianxi felt a stab in her heart. Shaking her head, she mumbled, "No, I didn't." "Didn't what?" "I didn't hate you." "Then why did you hit me?" Why did she hit him? Su Qianxi pursed her lips and burst into tears. Li Xiqing's heart ached. Leaning closer, as if he was coaxing a little girl, he asked slowly, "Why?" "You're cheating on me." "You're a jerk." "When did I cheat?" Li Xiqing felt wronged. "You've always been the only one I've had." Su Qianxi's mind was a mess, and she could not hear him at all. Twisting uncomfortably, she begged, so uncomfortable, Mr. Li. Li Xiqing also knew that she was upset. He reluctantly gave her a kiss and said sullenly, Mrs. Li, please behave yourself. Su Qianxi did not listen to him. Wrapping her arms around him, she pressed her upper body against his. Her lips fell on his, mimicking what he had done to her, biting his lips awkwardly. Li Xiqing did not move, looking like he was at her mercy. However, Su Qianxi only kissed him and did not do anything else. Feeling anxious, he pushed her gently and asked, do you know how to do it or not? Su Qianxi felt even more uncomfortable, looking at him with her wet eyes. Li Xiqing sighed, I'm scared of you. Then he immediately took the initiative and pressed her down. Seizing her lips, Li Xiqing went straight in, his movements hot and wild. Holding her back with his big hand, she couldn't help letting out a moan as his rough hand stroked her white and tender skin. Little slut, he said in a low voice, pushing his thighs apart as he lowered his waist and rubbed against her. Su Qianxi's body trembled, and she made an uncontrollable sound. However, the next second, she began to cry. Grabbing his back, she cried, it's so uncomfortable. Go in, Mr. Li. Beg me. Please, I beg you, begging me? Where's your sincerity? She wanted to kill him. Grabbing him, she asked, what kind of sincerity do you want? I'll help you today, but you have to promise me one thing. Su Qianxi lifted her waist and put her legs on him, asking impatiently, what? I'll tell you when I think of something. Li Xiqing moved forward, and Su Qianxi immediately moaned in satisfaction. However, he did not move. She felt even more uncomfortable and urged, hurry up. Promise me first. Chapter 345. The unexpected attack made all of Su Qianxi's words vanish in her mouth. He took her lips in his, feeling her scorching heat as she swayed with him. After the first time, Su Qianxi felt much better. After her body returned to normal, she felt a little sleepy. She was so tired that she did not even want to move a finger. Su Qianxi's eyelids drooped, somewhat resisting his touch. However, Li Xiqing said quietly, you're going to throw me away? It's not that easy. As a result, Su Qianxi felt like her whole body was about to fall apart. Every time she resisted, it could only end in vain. She did not know how long the king-sized bed had been swaying. When it completely stopped, the sky outside the window had already begun to brighten. When she woke up the next day, it was already dawn. Opening her eyes, she saw the enlarged chest in front of her. The wheat-colored skin was delicate and smooth. Su Qianxi reached out her finger and pressed it. She clearly felt that the body in front of her was a little tense, and then a big hand reached over and grabbed her hand. Su Qianxi blinked and looked up at him. With a single glance, he saw a pair of deep, cold eyes. Vaguely, there was a sense of danger in them. Su Qianxi's hair stood on end, and she subconsciously shrank back, only to find that her feet were pressed down and a little numb. Li Xiqing moved his legs slightly, and Su Qianxi took the opportunity to pull away. She rolled back. However, before she could escape, a big hand gently grabbed her and pulled her back again. Su Qianxi's heart raced, and she nervously shrank her head and said, I'm going to wash up. Li Xiqing pursed his red lips into a line and looked down at her. After a long while, he sighed. Seeing this, Su Qianxi shrank her head even more, covered her body with the quilt, and blinked. Li Xiqing rarely sighed. In her eyes, he was almost indomitable and omnipotent. Could it be that he also encountered something that he could not solve? She saw Li Xiqing glanced at her with a look of disappointment on his face. He faintly said, I can't believe it was you. What a loss. Hearing that, Su Qianxi blushed and retorted, it was you. He was clearly the one who had been pestering her to. How did it become him who had suffered a great loss? She was the one who was at a disadvantage. However, before he finished, he was interrupted by Li Xiqing, who asked, what about me? You were the one who seduced me last night. She blushed and frowned. She kicked him and yelled, "You're such a pervert." Li Xiqing's face turned red. Li Xiqing was kicked, but his expression did not change. He said seriously, "Did you forget that you were the one who pestered me last night, Mrs. Li?" Hearing that, Su Qianxi paused and stared at him with a blush. "You begged me, so I reluctantly helped you." Feeling embarrassed, she kicked him again. "Shut up." Li Xiqing's big hand under the quilt grabbed her ankle and slowly said, "In order to show your sincerity, you also promised me a condition. Do you still remember?" "I don't remember." Su Qianxi was angry. "I forgot." Chapter 346. Su Qianxi paused and retorted, "I was not wearing pants in the first place." "Oh." He nodded. "That's true. You could have just taken off your dress." Su Qianxi was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a hole to hide in. Angrily, she turned around and went to pick up her nightdress. However, Li Xiqing pulled her back and whispered in her ear, "Have you really forgotten what happened last night?" Of course, she remembered. It was still fresh in her memory. But how was she supposed to say it? How was she supposed to admit it? Blushing, she struggled and yelled, "Move! Don't hug me." "This is called hugging," he said, leaning closer to her until he was half on top of her, his big hands moving from top to bottom. "This is called hugging," he whispered. As he spoke, his large hand moved to touch her chest. He grasped it with one hand and gave it a gentle pinch. Su Qianxi struggled and was a bit annoyed. "Are you done? If I say I'm not done, can I continue?" Li Xiqing moved closer and kissed her lips from behind. Su Qianxi looked away, and Li Xiqing's kiss fell behind her ear. So, he decided to suck on her earlobe. Su Qianxi's body shivered, and her whole body became soft. Li Xiqing moved with his wet lips, lifted his legs, and whispered in her ear, "Look, you're craving me. Go away." Su Qianxi was furious. "Mr. Li, I never realized you were so shameless." "Mrs. Li, it's not too late to realize it now." Mr. Li, Mrs. Li, because of Li Xiqing's interference, it had become the most intimate form of address. The words, "Mrs. Li," coming from his mouth made her heart beat faster than the word, "wife." However, this man was not destined to belong to her. Su Qianxi's heart ached. She looked away and said in a hoarse voice, "Are you this shameless in Tang Menjing's bed?" Tang Menjing's bed? Li Xiqing chewed on the words carefully. Each word was simple, but when put together, why did it sound so harsh? With tears in her eyes, she elbowed him and struggled to get out of bed. However, Li Xiqing held her firmly and moved closer to her. In a dangerous voice, he asked, "Do you think I have something to do with Tang Menjing?" Hearing that, Su Qianxi felt it was ironic and turned her head. Li Xiqing clearly saw that the pair of dark eyes were full of sarcasm, disdain, and strange contempt. Narrowing his eyes dangerously, Li Xiqing was a bit displeased. Tightening his arms around her, he turned her over and pressed her flat on top of him. "What do you mean by this?" "You know what I mean, don't you, Mr. Li?" Su Qianxi's heart raced. The scratches and hickeys on his chest clearly showed her craziness last night. However, it was only last night. Looking away, Su Qianxi did not want to look at him. With her eyes red, she struggled again and pretended to be indifferent. "Get off me. Explain it to me. Do you still think Tang Menjing's baby is mine?" Chapter 347. Li Xiqing's eyes became colder. Narrowing his eyes, he looked dangerous as he asked slowly, "So, you slapped me for no reason that day because of this?" Su Qianxi looked away and did not speak. However, her breathing was a bit fast. Her eyes were slightly red, and there was a layer of moisture in her dark eyes. "Mrs. Li, you are doubting my character." His voice was a bit low, and his anger was obvious. Su Qianxi curled her lips coldly, but did not look at him. "I thought I made it very clear last time. I have nothing to do with her." Not to mention sleeping with her, even touching her would make me feel disgusted. Enough. Su Qianxi interrupted him. I do not want to hear this. Mr. Li, can you please leave? Li Xiqing pursed his lips and did not move. His voice was still low and mellow, but with clear frustration. Why don't you believe me? Su Qianxi pursed her lips and looked up at him. Clearly seeing the hurt in his eyes, she felt suffocated. Looking up at the ceiling, she said in a calm voice, From the moment I found out that you lied to me, your credibility with me has been overdrawn. Li Xiqing's pupils contracted, and his eyes narrowed. Lied to her? The first thing he thought of was the wound on his right arm. Subconsciously, he looked sideways. Su Qianxi clearly noticed his movement and looked at his wound. It was a very long one, and it seemed to be a bit deep. Some of the scabs had fallen off, revealing a bit of pink skin. It was very ugly, which ruined the beauty. It looked out of place under his healthy, wheat-colored skin. More than half a month ago, Rong Rui cut it. Half a month, that is, when he was on a business trip? I did not tell you because I did not want you to worry, so I lied to you that I was on a business trip and would come back to see you when the wound was better. Was that so? Su Qianxi suddenly felt a bit sad. Did she look so gullible? He must not have known that she saw him walk out of Tang Menjing's house with her own eyes. Soon after, Su Qianxi checked and found that the house had been transferred to Tang Menjing. A villa worth tens of millions was easily transferred to another woman. If there was no dirty transaction, who would believe it? Moreover, a genuine paternity test was enough to prove everything. Putting everything together, he was still delusional enough to think that she would continue to be deceived. Su Qianxi's eyelashes fluttered, and she said quietly, Well, get up. You're making me numb. Li Xiqing pursed his lips. Her cold eyes seemed to have shot him in the chest, leaving a bloody hole with blood gushing out. Her expression told him that she did not believe it. His injuries were right there, the severity was obvious, but why did she still not believe him? Was it really as she said? His credit rating had already been overdrawn? I didn't do it on purpose. It's okay. Get up. It won't be numb after a while. I was talking about the business trip. He did not mean to lie to her. If he knew that she would know, if he knew that she would misunderstand, he would rather let her worry and be in pain with him than see this. Su Qianxi paused, narrowed her eyes, and said quietly, It doesn't matter. Everyone has their own private life. From the beginning. I have written it clearly in the contract that we will not interfere in each other's private lives. You don't have to explain to me. She was thinking too much. Chapter 348. Su Qianxi. Li Xiqing was a bit annoyed and grabbed her chin. Don't talk about the contract. I will tear it up in a second. You should. Su Qianxi said sarcastically, The contract also says that we should keep our distance. Look at us now. We have already violated the contract. That thing should not exist. Li Xiqing regretted signing the contract. Gazing at her, he said word by word, Forget about the contract. Tear it up and start over. You can tear it up. Anyway, what you have is just a copy. The original is with Xing Shiming. He tightened his grip on her chin as if he was going to crush her. He said in a deep voice, Then we will ask Xing Shiming for it. It's useless, Li Xiqing. Su Qianxi looked at him and suddenly put her arms around his neck, pulling him close to her. She whispered, Isn't that what you want? When the contract time is up, Tang Menjing's child will be born. At that time, it will be the same with or without me, right? Tang Menjing, Tang Menjing. Tang Menjing again. Su Qianxi raised her head, kissed his Adam's apple, and slightly opened her mouth. Li Xiqing's body slightly stiffened. Holding her tighter, he breathed faster. Su Qianxi's soft hand slowly moved down, and her voice was seductive as she said slowly, While we are still legally married, and Tang Menjing is pregnant, the most important thing is to have fun, isn't it? All of Li Xiqing's feelings instantly collapsed. Grabbing her hand, he gritted his teeth and said, "Don't mention that name. It makes me sick." She also made him sick. Especially sick. Stop pretending. You obviously like it a lot. Su Qianxi slightly twisted her body and put her legs on his, saying sarcastically, "Or do you feel guilty for lying in another woman's bed while she gives birth to your child?" Huh? Li Xiqing noticed her provocation and suddenly sneered. Su Qianxi felt a bit scared and paused. She subconsciously wanted to take her hand back, but he stopped her. He lowered his head and bit her collarbone. She gasped in pain and yelled, "It hurts." However, he did not intend to stop. Instead, he bit her even harder. "What are you doing?" She was almost in tears. "Are you a dog? Go away. To wake you up." Li Xiqing said breathlessly, then got out of bed. Su Qianxi watched him open the closet naked and take out a stack of things from the bottom drawer of the closet. Soon, he stood up and threw her 2 red booklets. Marriage certificate. Opening one of the booklets, Li Xiqing knelt down and grabbed her face, looking at the photo on the marriage certificate. Feeling the pain, Su Qianxi subconsciously wanted to dodge. However, Li Xiqing's actions were extremely domineering. He put the marriage certificate in front of her and growled, "Look carefully. The person on it is you, Su Qianxi, not that Tang guy." Su Qianxi's face was hurting, and she was about to cry, but she gritted her teeth and did not make a sound. "Don't try to push me to another woman. I said she has nothing to do with me. Her due date is in March next year. Give me some more time, okay?" Chapter 349. Hearing that, Su Qianxi looked away and did not speak. Her eyes were full of tears, but they did not fall. He gazed at her deeply, let go of her, and said slowly, "Do you remember that you still owe me a favor last night?" "I remember it now." Su Qianxi finally looked over. "Cancel the divorce contract." Cancel, cancel, the 2 simple words were like an echo, echoing in Su Qianxi's mind. Canceling it at this time undoubtedly meant that he wanted to stop her from thinking about divorce. If it was cancelled at this time, would they not get divorced? Would she be able to continue to be his wife? Li Xiqing clearly saw the emotion in her eyes. Sure enough, she did not want to divorce, right? Scenes suddenly appeared in Li Xiqing's mind, the way she looked when they just got married. Her love for him, her complicated feelings for him, and her fear of him were all clear. Now, what was going on? Her eyes were full of sarcasm and disdain, as well as hatred and disgust. When he found that her love was gone, he was at a loss of what to do. He still did not know what he had done wrong. However, he did not want to let go, did not want to divorce. Covering her face with his slightly rough hand, Li Xiqing gently rubbed it with his thumb and whispered, "Cancel the divorce contract and let's start over, okay?" He was serious. Li Xiqing's eyes did not contain any impurities. They were so dark and pure that it made her heart flutter. However, could she? No. Su Qianxi reached out and wiped her eyes. Her eyes flashed, she looked at him and sneered, "Do you really think I am stupid?" The divorce contract was the only thing that she had the upper hand in at the moment. If he couldn't even take the initiative, then what awaited him would be the real torture. What if he wanted to coax her to cancel the divorce contract and then force her to divorce directly? She knew very well how despicable this man was. She did not want to believe him. Never again. Hearing that, Li Xiqing slightly tightened his grip on her hand. He had never lowered himself to please a woman in this way. He was as low as the bottom of the dust, but what he got in return was a sneer from her. His eyes were as dark as ink, and the anger of humiliation was burning fiercely. "Su Qianxi." She gritted her teeth, squeezing every word out. Her heart trembling, she flinched, but she still stiffened her neck, looked at him, and sneered fearlessly. "Are you angry?" Li Xiqing's hand on her face started to pinch her cheeks, which made her frown in pain. "I really want to strangle you," Li Xiqing said word by word. choke her to death. Out of sight, out of mind. However, he was reluctant to do so. Gritting her teeth, she looked at him stubbornly. He closed his eyes and pushed her away. Throwing the red booklet on the floor, he got out of bed and walked into the bathroom. The sound of running water came from the bathroom. She collapsed on the bed and let out a long sigh of relief. What she was most afraid of was how he looked when he lost his temper. No matter in her previous lifetime or this lifetime. Chapter 350. On her collarbone, there was a row of teeth marks. Feeling it with her fingers, Su Qianxi felt a bit of pain. He had bitten her so hard. After the shower, she wrapped herself in a towel and put on a thin turtleneck sweater. It was rare for her to put on a pair of pants and tie her hair into a ponytail. When she walked out of the door, it was already past 11 a.m. She saw Li Xiqing walking out of Grandpa's room. Seeing Su Qianxi's new outfit, Li Xiqing's eyes froze for a second and quickly looked away, walking toward the door. Su Qianxi stopped in the same place, watching him pass by her, and her mood was surprisingly peaceful. When Li Xiqing walked out of the living room, his phone rang. Su Qianxi keenly noticed that he seemed to have changed his phone. This was not the model he had used before. He answered the call and walked out. Su Qianxi followed him, holding her bag and keeping a certain distance from him. She did not know what was said on the other side of the phone, but Su Qianxi noticed that Li Xiqing's mood did not seem to be right. He said, "You must protect it." He drove away, not intending to take Su Qianxi with him. Su Qianxi did not want to get in his car at all. She stopped a taxi and gave the driver Song Yifan's address. However, she always felt something was not right. What did he mean by protect just now? Tang Menjing's child? Feeling a pain in her heart, Su Qianxi thought it over and over again and said, "Sir, to Jianghu." The driver looked a bit impatient. "Why didn't you say so earlier?" It was completely the opposite direction. Although dissatisfied, he still turned around and drove toward the Jianghu villas. When the car was near the Jianghu villas, Su Qianxi immediately saw the low-key, luxurious black Maybach. She had expected it, but she was still disappointed. The last bit of hope in her heart had completely disappeared. Reality was like a stepmother, giving her 2 fiery slaps in the face. It was really interesting to lie to her, wasn't it? Su Qianxi's eyes were cold, and her heart was cold. "Let's go back to Yifeng Pavilion." Laurel was anxious. No one had expected that Tang Menjing would hit the wall with her stomach. With such a collision, the 30 to 40 people in the villa were all in a mess. However, Laurel was someone who had experienced great storms. In Star City, he had seen much more storms than this. He sent her back to her room, called the doctor, and then called Li Xiqing. Tang Menjing thought that they would send her to the hospital no matter what. In this way, the child could be aborted, and she could go out and ask for help, telling others that she was imprisoned. However, she had never expected that he would be so considerate as to hire several doctors and set up an emergency room in his home. Seeing a dozen pairs of eyes staring at her, Tang Menjing felt she was going crazy. Half a month, for a whole half a month, she had no freedom at all. He was watched when he went to the toilet, when he bathed, and when he ate. He was even worse than a prisoner. Other than Moon Osmanthus, the others were all mute. No one was there to talk to her, and she could not make any phone calls. In addition, the place was remote, so there was no one to help her. Everyone was glad that the child was saved. But for Tang Menjing, it was the worst news. Chapter 351. After returning from the old house, Su Qianxi devoted herself to her studies and work, so she was very busy. Louis Han's business skills were getting better and better. In just over a month, he had officially launched the Qianlu software, and the number of downloads and users was very high. As a shareholder, Su Qianxi had also received a very good income. The weather was getting colder and colder, and Su Qianxi was wearing more and more clothes. The winter solstice was a day of reunion. Song Yifan was still in London and could not return to China to reunite with her. However, the old house called her early and asked her to go to the old house for the holiday. It was raining heavily, and the winter solstice was destined to be wet. Su Qianxi drove her new white car and was stuck on the highway. Looking at the time, it was already past 2 p.m. She did not know what was going on in front of her, but the traffic was still. The sound of horns kept ringing, annoying her. Her phone rang, and it was from the old house. Su Qianxi picked up the phone and said, "Hello. Madam, are you here yet?" "Not yet. Today is the winter solstice, and the traffic is stuck." Su Qianxi glanced out of the window. It was still raining heavily. "Oh, are you with the second young master?" The old man said he wanted to eat the meat that the second young master bought before. "What meat?" "I don't know. The old man can't tell. Anyway, it's delicious. The second young master knows. You can call him and ask." "Let her call?" Su Qianxi pursed her lips and said, "Lu Sa, please call him. It's not convenient for me right now." "Oh, I've tried, but I don't know what's going on. I can't get through to him. I'm very busy now. Grandpa is playing with Mr. Eyre and the others. I have to follow him to finish up." Someone seemed to be calling Lu Sa. Lu Sa responded loudly, "Oh, I'll be right there." Then she said to Su Qianxi again, "Thank you. If you can't get through, let me call the second young master after I'm done. I'm just afraid that the old man might be anxious." "Okay," Su Qianxi agreed. "Go ahead. I'll call him." "Okay, thanks. Remember to come back early. Mr. Eyre's family is here too." "Okay." She hung up the phone, and the road was still blocked. Looking through the address book, she found that the number was nowhere to be found. She had to click on the keyboard and press the number. Her movements were so smooth that there was no pause. After dialing it out, she suddenly realized that she had finished dialing it. She had remembered this number for 2 lifetimes. The line was busy. I really couldn't get through. The car in front finally moved slowly. Su Qianxi started the car and called Qingyu. Qingyu quickly answered the phone, and Su Qianxi learned that Qingyu had returned to her hometown for the holiday. "It's only 3:00 now. He must still be in the company. Why don't you go to the company to look for him?" Thank you. If boss sees you go to him, he'll definitely be very happy." Su Qianxi curled her lips and said self-deprecatingly, "Really?" "Of course. You don't know, but boss has been in a terrible mood recently. He's been working overtime every day. Everyone in the company is so scared that they don't dare to make a sound. They're afraid that they'll offend him if they say anything wrong. Even I have to apply for annual leave to go home." From the looks of it, it was indeed very bad. Was it because of her? If he saw her, would he feel even worse? Wan Lily, everyone who is scolding her, please put yourself in her shoes. Your husband is pregnant with someone else, and the blood test is also there. The evidence is conclusive. Several times when you decided to believe him, you found that he was lying to you. Twice when you saw him with the mistress, you would happily say, "Oh, I believe you, I love you." Would it? To be honest, only Su Qianxi would do that. If I had a bad temper, I would definitely find someone to beat up my husband and the mistress, and then sue him until he left the family with nothing. You have the god's perspective, of course, you know everything, but Qianqian doesn't. So, how can you say that she is pretentious? How can you say that she doesn't believe Mr. Li? Mr. Li's EQ is low, and Su Qianxi feels inferior. All of you can see that. My character has been set from the beginning, and I will not change it. Chapter 352. Ahem. Qingyu found that she seemed to be talking too much. If Li Xiqing found out that she had sold him out, he would definitely exploit her. "Well, madam, don't say these things to him. Just keep it between us." Su Qianxi smiled. Okay, goodbye. Goodbye. Hanging up the phone, she took a long breath. Madam, in her previous lifetime, Qingyu had always called her Madam. After the divorce, she called her Miss Su. Madam seemed to be a good name. She drove off the highway. Coincidentally, the road she was on was very close to Li Xiqing's company. Following her memory, she drove to Li Xiqing's company. In less than 2 minutes, she saw the building with a unique shape. The Li Group was also one of the landmarks in Kingstown. Su Qianxi stopped the car and walked in. The receptionist recognized her at a glance and said, "Madam." Although it was the first time that Su Qianxi had come to Li Xiqing's company, her name and appearance could be recognized by everyone in Kingstown. Su Qianxi smiled and asked, "I am looking for Li Xiqing. The president is in the conference room on the top floor. You can go directly to the special elevator here." "Thank you." Su Qianxi went directly to the top floor and was very familiar with the layout. In her previous lifetime, she had been here many times. Walking in easily, the people in the secretary's office were slightly surprised to see her. However, they all knew who she was. They hurriedly took her to Li Xiqing's office and gave her the best coffee. "Boss is in a meeting. Do you want me to go inform him?" a secretary said. "There's no need. I'll wait here for a while. You go ahead with your work." "Thank you." "You are welcome. I will go first." "Thank you." The secretary looked at her and was so excited that her face was flushed. Before the door was completely closed, the secretary screamed, "She is so beautiful." Su Qianxi curled her lips and took a sip of the coffee. She felt inexplicably nervous. When he came over later and saw her, would he be surprised? Would he be surprised? What should she say? "Long time no see." "Hello?" It seemed a bit strange, her heart racing. She suddenly regretted listening to Qing Yu and coming here to find him. Would he think that she was here to express her goodwill to him, so she purposely came to see him? However, she only came to his company because she couldn't get through to her grandfather's phone. If he misunderstood, it would be very awkward, right? Was it too late to leave now? She was a bit hesitant. After some consideration, she stood up and walked to the door of the office. However, as soon as she walked in, the door was suddenly opened. She was caught off guard and hit by the doorknob. "Ah!" Su Qianxi screamed and squatted down, covering where she was hit. There was obvious astonishment in Li Xiqing's eyes. Looking at the petite figure squatting and groaning on the ground, he thought he was hallucinating. However, when she looked up at him, his heart was hit hard. It really was her. Su Qianxi clearly felt Li Xiqing's cold gaze on her. Blushing, she covered her lower abdomen and did not dare to get up. Pain, pain, pain. Of all places to hit, she hit the bone there. A disease called embarrassment instantly broke out, and no medicine could cure it. Seeing her painful face, Li Xiqing resisted the urge to check where she was hurting and whispered, "What's wrong?" Chapter 353. Li Xiqing's cold face suddenly cracked. "You do?" Su Qianxi's face became even redder. She stood up and said in pain, "Why didn't you knock before coming in?" "It hurts." This action was a bit obscene, and Li Xiqing couldn't help but look at it. He said calmly, "This is my office." Su Qianxi was suddenly speechless. Feeling his gaze, she immediately turned around and rubbed her wound with her coat. Li Xiqing was speechless and said in a low voice, "Mind your image." Then he closed the door and walked to the desk. "What are you doing here?" "Looking for you," Su Qianxi said matter-of-factly. "Grandpa said he wanted to eat the meat you bought for him last time, but he couldn't get through. Lu Sa asked me to find you and take it back." Su Qianxi said matter-of-factly, but she soon realized something was wrong. Li Xiqing glanced at the phone on the desk. There were more than 30 missed calls. Picking up the phone, he found that most of them were business calls. Only 3 of them were from the old house and her. Picking up the phone, Li Xiqing said quietly, "Got it." "Okay." His attitude made Su Qianxi feel a bit disappointed. She stood up and felt that it was not very painful anymore. Picking up her bag on the sofa, she said, "Then I'll go." "Sit down." Li Xiqing did not look up. "Let's go together later." "No, I have my own car." However, Li Xiqing had already walked over and pressed her down again. Su Qianxi wanted to say something, but she saw him make a gesture to keep quiet. Then, he said in fluent English. "So busy." After the meeting, he had to return calls. Su Qianxi wanted to get up but was held down by his hand. Her heart fluttered. Did he want to make her stay? With this idea, Su Qianxi felt a bit restless. Sitting on the sofa, she pretended to be calm. When he finished the call, it was already more than 10 minutes later. Su Qianxi looked at him and asked, "Why don't you let me go?" Looking at her with his deep eyes, Li Xiqing's expression was a bit cold. "It's a holiday. Let Grandpa be happy." Su Qianxi felt her heart was soaked with vinegar, feeling a bit disappointed. Oh. So that was it. Indeed, Grandpa was already so old, and he couldn't bear to see his children and grandchildren quarrel. Grandpa knew that she had been in a cold war with him for more than a month. Suddenly, an inexplicable possibility popped up in his mind. Did Grandpa do it on purpose today? Li Xiqing glanced at her and picked up her bag. "Let's go." He was already out of the door, and she followed him. Clearly aware of the envious eyes of the secretaries, she gradually slowed down. Wouldn't he be unhappy? In his previous life, he hated it the most when she walked around him ostentatiously. Given their current situation, would they? Thinking of that, she had slowed down a lot, watching him walk fast, deliberately keeping a distance from him. Li Xiqing pressed the elevator button and found that she was not behind him. When he turned around, he saw the hesitation in her eyes. He arched an eyebrow, and his eyes darkened. He said unhappily, "Do you want me to go over and hug you?" The secretaries jeered, and Su Qianxi's face instantly blushed. She trotted quickly in her high heels and followed him into the elevator. At the moment when the elevator door closed, Su Qianxi heard a voice. "This is so happy." Chapter 354. At the moment when the elevator door closed, Su Qianxi heard a voice. "This is so happy." The elevator door closed, cutting off all the sound. Su Qianxi sighed. It turned out that in their eyes, she was also happy. However, why could she not feel it herself? Instead, she was full of sadness. "Where's your car?" The sudden voice made Su Qianxi a bit dazed, but she quickly reacted and replied, "At the door." Li Xiqing heard that and pressed the first floor button. Silence. The elevator was so quiet. The only thing he could hear was the sound of the elevator descending. Ding. When the elevator reached the first floor, Li Xiqing walked out first, followed by Su Qianxi. Many people looked at them. Su Qianxi was a bit nervous, following Li Xiqing with her head slightly lowered. Suddenly, Li Xiqing stopped, and Su Qianxi did not stop and bumped into him. Ouch! Su Qianxi covered her nose, and the soreness made her tear up. Looking up, her eyes were full of accusation. Li Xiqing glanced at her casually and took an umbrella from the umbrella rack on the side. A big umbrella. When she arrived, the rain was much lighter. The car was parked at the door. She had just run in without an umbrella. But now, the rain had resumed, and the road was flooded with water. People were in a hurry. Just as she was about to reach for an umbrella, he grabbed her hand and pulled her forward without any explanation. "Hey, wait." Su Qianxi was almost carried under his arm, and her feet were a bit unsteady in her high heels. Li Xiqing did not listen and dragged her forward. After opening the big umbrella, he put his arm around her neck and walked to her car. Su Qianxi was a bit dazed. How did he know that this car was hers? He should have never seen it. They had not seen each other for so long. "Open the door." Li Xiqing glanced at her. "It's raining hard. It's cold." She quickly unlocked the door. Li Xiqing opened the driver's door but did not get in. Instead, he looked at her. Su Qianxi immediately understood and got in. Closing the door, he went to the passenger seat and sat down. However, as soon as he sat down, his eyebrows furrowed and he said with dissatisfaction, "Why is it so small? How can it be compared to yours?" She muttered and slowly started the car. "I'll get you a bigger one later. I like small ones." The rain was so heavy that she could not see clearly, so she turned on the headlights. "I'm not feeling well." Li Xiqing looked disgusted. "It's fine as long as I like it. Why do you care so much? I thought you were used to my big ones." When she was about to argue, she suddenly thought of something. Blushing, she glared at him and yelled, "Li Xiqing, you pervert." Li Xiqing raised an eyebrow and looked at her with some confusion. "I was talking about the size of the car. What are you thinking about?" She paused and blushed even more. Clearly seeing the mockery in his eyes, she angrily smashed the steering wheel and turned around. Li Xiqing slowly fastened the seat belt and said slowly, "Don't you think it's better to have a big one?" Her hands trembling, she roared, "Can you shut up?" Chapter 355. Li Xiqing's lips curled up. His mood, which had been tense for more than a month, was miraculously relieved. Su Qianxi did not want to talk to him and drove steadily. However, in the end, she couldn't help asking, "Where is the store?" "Surely Mingdu." Su Qianxi was dazed and looked at him. "Isn't it in the back?" "Yes." "Then why didn't you tell me earlier?" "You didn't ask." Su Qianxi gritted her teeth, wishing she could throw him out of the car. However, she still turned the steering wheel and headed for Shirley Mingdu. "Turn right and get out," he said quietly. Su Qianxi found a place to park the car. The rain was still pouring. He picked up the umbrella and opened the door. "Sit." Su Qianxi blinked. Did he want to pick her up? Did he think she would not have an umbrella in the car? Su Qianxi pouted and got out of the car with an umbrella after he got out. The pink umbrella had a couple kissing on it, full of teenage girls' hearts. Su Qianxi locked the car and walked forward with the umbrella. Li Xiqing's eyes became more and more serious. He stopped and said slowly, "It's a bit far. Follow me." "Okay." It was indeed a bit far. About 20 minutes later, the rain gradually subsided, and they turned into a deep alley. It was very clean. Although the alley was small, the decoration style inside was no worse than those outside Shirley Mingdu. It was the first time that Su Qianxi had been here, and she was a bit surprised. "I didn't expect it to be so beautiful." He closed the umbrella and walked into a store. The eye-catching century-old brand was very eye-catching. Su Qianxi was drooling when she walked in and saw a dazzling array of dried meat and snacks. The history and origin of the store were written on the wall, which Su Qianxi read with great interest. Li Xiqing ordered a few flavors and glanced at her. Then his eyes fell on the umbrella she put at the door. After reading the history of the store, Su Qianxi wandered around the shelves. When he came to call her, he was already carrying 2 full bags. "Let's go." "Okay." The rain became heavier again. The rain poured down in torrents, but the puddles on the road were much better than before. It was not to the extent that they could not walk. Su Qian picked up the foldable umbrella at the door and was stunned. Because she thought it would not take long to buy things, she did not put the umbrella back. However, when she picked it up, she only lifted one part of the umbrella. Looking at the umbrella in her hand and the umbrella on the ground, she stomped her foot in anger. "What the hell, who did this? Damn it." Li Xiqing stood behind her and said coldly, "You must have stepped on it accidentally. Look at the footprint." There was a black footprint on the surface of the umbrella, dripping with water. Looking at the footprint, Su Qianxi was heartbroken. This umbrella was newly bought, and he especially liked the pattern on it. This was his first time using it, but it was destroyed just like that. Su Qianxi's face scrunched up in anger. Li Xiqing glanced at her and said calmly, "It's just an umbrella. It doesn't matter if it breaks. But the rain is so heavy. Without an umbrella, I will be wet. I have one." He picked up the big black umbrella that was dripping water. "Let's go." What the hell, he was going to share an umbrella with her? Su Qianxi opened her mouth and mumbled, "In such a heavy rain, two people sharing an umbrella will definitely get wet." Chapter 356. Elopement. Su Qianxi blushed. "I just said wet. I also said wet bends. Is that wrong?" He looked at her seriously. Su Qianxi blushed even more. Did he just say elopement or wet? Although Southerners might not pronounce private and wet, Li Xiqing had taken an advanced Mandarin test. In order to follow him, she had taken the test in her previous lifetime as well. Could it be that she had misheard? "Let's go." He handed the 2 bags of food to her. "Protect them." Su Qianxi took them and held them in her arms. Li Xiqing was wearing a dark gray coat with a straight suit underneath. After opening the umbrella, he took her waist with his coat. Su Qianxi's body stiffened and she struggled. "What are you doing, going home?" Li Xiqing's warm breath was on her ear. Su Qianxi felt her face was burning. He said in a low voice, "Protect the food. Don't let Grandpa wait." So, she protected the food, and he protected her? Thinking of this, Su Qianxi's heart raced. He took her down the stairs. Seeing her pink ears, Li Xiqing's cold eyes became softer, and he wrapped his coat tighter around her. On the way, no one spoke. Su Qianxi felt warm all over. Holding the food tightly in her arms, she was surprised that no water splashed on her. When they returned to the car, Su Qianxi found that Li Xiqing's back was soaked. Seeing him take off his coat, Su Qianxi moved her lips but did not say anything. Glancing at her well-protected body and the food, she felt warm. They did not speak on the way. When they arrived at the old house, it was almost 6 p.m. Li Xiqing went to the room to change, and Su Qianxi gave the newly bought jerky to Grandpa. Captain Li was very happy, looking at her with a satisfied smile. Su Qianxi felt a bit embarrassed and went to the kitchen to help Lu Sa make glutinous rice balls. Lu Sa wrapped the dough with stuffing, sesame, peanuts, quicksand. Su Qianxi was responsible for throwing the glutinous rice balls into the pot and scooping them out after they were cooked. When Lu Sa brought over the last bowl of glutinous rice balls, she came over and asked mysteriously, "Did you make up?" Su Qianxi paused. Seeing the mischievous smile on Lu Sa's face, she immediately thought of the phone call she just had and nodded. Sort of. At the very least, their relationship had broken the ice, hadn't it? Finally, the clouds have parted to see the moon. Recently, the old man has been worried to death. Sigh. That's good. I think the old man will let you stay for the night. I've already prepared clothes for you. Thank you, Lu Sa. Don't stand on ceremony. Hey, it's cooked. Hurry up and scoop it up. Don't break it. Su Qianxi looked at the dumplings in the pot and quickly scooped them up with a colander. He distributed the glutinous rice balls according to their heads, but before he could take them out, he heard a commotion outside. It sounded like they were quarreling. She was shocked and ran out of the kitchen. She immediately saw Mrs. Tang yelling at Li Xiqing like a shrew, "Li Xiqing, you bastard, give my daughter back. Where did you hide her?" Mrs. Tang looked a bit agitated. With red eyes, she looked at Li Xiqing as if he was her enemy. Li Xiqing sat on the sofa with his legs crossed, looking cold and noble. He looked at her and said, "Mrs. Tang, what do you mean? Wan Lily, here comes the troublemaker. How do you want Tang Menjing to die? P.S. Today, I learned that browsers also have reading channels. I heard that there are a lot of readers on the browser. Don't move." Chapter 357. What a cunning guy. She should have known that, given the boy's character, even if he really liked Tang Menjing, he would never compromise under their threat. At the time, she did not think much about it. Later, she found that Tang Menjing had not been home for more than 2 months and could not get through to her. Although she had texted and chatted with her, Tang Menjing had not even sent a voice message. Other than telling them that Li Xiqing had given her a villa, she had not heard from her again. Mrs. Tang suddenly realized that Li Xiqing was fooling them. He was so anxious that he immediately rushed over in a hurry. Seeing Li Xiqing's calm look, Mrs. Tang trembled with anger and yelled, "Stop pretending. Where did you hide her?" Her voice was sharp and hysterical. "You'd better give my daughter back, or I will sue you." "Sue me?" Li Xiqing crossed his arms and did not panic at all. Sitting on the sofa, he was extremely calm. "Sue me for what? Where is the evidence?" Mrs. Tang paused and immediately yelled, "Do I even need evidence? My daughter was taken away by you. She has not contacted us for such a long time. You must have locked her up. Let me tell you, this is illegal imprisonment. Mrs. Tang, there must be evidence for everything. You have no evidence. We can sue you for slander." Li Beixing walked out, followed by Li Xiao and his wife. Seeing Qin Shuhua, Mrs. Tang's eyes became even redder. She cried, "My poor daughter. She gave birth to a child for such a man and is locked up. She can't even see her mother on this holiday. This is so miserable. This family will die a horrible death. Oh my God." Li Zhao's brother, Li Sheng, and his family were all in the backyard. There was some distance between the living room and the backyard, but Mrs. Tang was so loud that Li Weiya heard the noise and ran out. Hearing the noise, old Master Li also walked out with his walking stick. He stomped his walking stick on the ground and said angrily, "Why is it you again? I told you, the Li family no longer allows people from the Tang family to come." Mrs. Tang cried even more hysterically and yelled, "Your whole family is a bunch of bastards. My daughter gave birth to a child for the Li family with a big belly. You heartless family, you just watched your little bastard lock our daughter up. There's no justice and no law." Her voice was very noisy. Li Beixing's lips twitched. He went forward and lifted Mrs. Tang up, saying, "Mrs. Tang, don't cry at a funeral on a holiday. What does it have to do with us that your daughter went missing? My daughter must have been locked up by your younger brother. If you don't believe me, you can ask him." He struggled violently and even bumped into Li Beixing. Li Beixing shrugged helplessly and looked at his younger brother. Li Xiqing remained calm and said, "I didn't. Please go back, Mrs. Tang." If Mrs. Tang did not know what kind of person Li Xiqing was, she might have been fooled by him. But she had always known that this kid was the most cunning and sinister. "I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Missing persons can be reported within 24 hours. Do you need help?" A young female voice came. She was tall and slim, looking delicate. Chapter 358. My man, those 3 words made Li Xiqing, who had been calm for a long time, feel a strong emotion in his eyes. Turning his head, he saw Su Qianxi's gentle profile. She was smiling, her eyes full of sarcasm, just like that day in bed. Li Xiqing's eyes darkened. He reached out and held her soft hand, feeling a bit cold. Su Qianxi glanced at him and then turned back to Mrs. Tang. She said in a calm voice, "Miss Tang is an adult. She has her own life and thoughts." Mrs. Tang was watching her daughter like this, and she lost her. "How can you accuse my husband of locking her up?" "Yes, her man, her husband." That was quite a smooth word. Li Xiqing tightened his grip on her hand, and his eyes lit up. "Little bitch, you are not a good person either. If it were not for you, Tang Menjing would not have ended up like this," Mrs. Tang cursed. "You are trespassing. If you don't leave, I will call the police." Su Qianxi took out her phone and waved it at her. "Go ahead, call the police." Su Qianxi's eyes became even colder. She dialed the 3 numbers. Hello, this is Lee's house, number 88 in XX district. My last name is Su, and there is someone. Enough. Mrs. Tang roared. You really dare to call the police? Wait and see. You heard it. Not only did she trespass, she slandered me and my husband, and threatened me. Trembling with anger, Mrs. Tang was about to grab the phone from her. However, Li Beixing was right next to her. How could she be so arrogant? Li Beixing grabbed Mrs. Tang and dragged her out. I'm sorry, Auntie Tang. Our family is going to celebrate the new year. You can call the police to find your daughter later. Mrs. Tang struggled and yelled, but she could not get rid of Li Beixing's strength. After throwing her out, Li Beixing closed the door and locked it. There are all kinds of people these days, Li Beixing complained as soon as he walked in, but he found the atmosphere was not right. He was holding Su Qianxi's hand, but she did not look very happy. Li Beixing walked in and teased, I didn't expect this, sister-in-law. How domineering. He called the police just like that. But, will the police really come later? I won't. Su Qianxi's smile was a bit forced. She wanted to get rid of his hand, but he did not move. Time to eat. I have something to say to you. Let's talk after dinner. I can't wait. Li Xiqing stood up and pulled her toward the room. Su Qianxi exclaimed and stumbled to keep up with him. Feeling the ambiguous looks from the elders and cousins around her, her heart was pounding, and she shrank her head. He dragged her into the room and closed the door behind him. What do you want to say? Before she finished, her words were drowned in her mouth. Her eyes widened, she subconsciously struggled. However, he put her hand down and deepened the kiss. She could clearly feel his joy and excitement. His initial struggle gradually softened. Beside his ears, she could hear his slightly hurried breathing. Chapter 359. Just when Su Qianxi thought she was about to suffocate, he let her go. Su Qianxi collapsed in his arms, panting. Do you know, I'm so happy. His deep voice and warm breath were all gently teasing the limp body. Su Qianxi felt a bit weak. Lying on him, she asked, what are you happy about? Li Xiqing did not speak again, but his dark eyes were full of excitement, shining brightly. Su Qianxi blushed under his naked gaze. She looked away and asked the question she wanted to ask, isn't Tang Menjing in your house in Jianghu? Li Xiqing's eyes flashed and he asked, how do you know? I saw. You went to see her. Went to see Tang Menjing? That was more than a month ago. Li Xiqing narrowed his eyes. All the things that he had been unable to figure out suddenly connected, and he suddenly felt enlightened. So, you sentenced me to death because of this? An oppressive aura was instantly emitted from his body, and it was cold and penetrating. Su Qianxi shrank her neck and felt guilty. She whispered, so, you quarreled with me and hit me because you saw me visiting Tang Menjing. Because of this, you think Tang Menjing's child is really mine, right? Yes, he guessed right. However, why did Su Qianxi feel so guilty when he said it all out? He was clearly in the wrong first, so why should she feel guilty? He made it sound like it was her fault. Su Qianxi raised her head, looked at him and said, isn't it? He gazed at her deeply, suddenly lowered his head and bit her neck. She frowned in pain and struggled with her hands, yelling, Li Xiqing, let go. Hearing that, he did ease up a bit, sucking her neck. The tip of his tongue gently swirled on the tender flesh, and she shivered. Her whole body was limp, and she collapsed. Li Xiqing lifted her up with his thigh and made her face him. He whispered, why are you thinking about it? I've said it many times, it wasn't me. I did lock Tang Menjing up. The villa in Jianghu has been transferred to her name to cover Tang Zhenghao's site. Otherwise, why do you think they only found out now that Tang Menjing is missing? As he spoke, he had already moved away from her neck and whispered to her face. Su Qianxi was tickled by his hot breath, and her breathing became more rapid. I locked her up because I wanted her to give birth to the child to prove my innocence. Amniocentesis requires absolute calmness and obedience of the pregnant woman. Tang Menjing reacted violently when she heard that and refused to take the amniotic fluid again. I cannot prove my innocence without a DNA test. That DNA test was forged by Rong Rui. He admitted it himself, but he didn't want to help me recover the original information. This is the only way. Only when Tang Menjing's child is born and my innocence is proven, can I convince the elders and you. When the time comes, I'll take you to Ireland, okay? He couldn't wait any longer. The surprise he had prepared for her was absolutely unprecedented and would never be repeated again. Chapter 360. Su Qianxi felt weak all over, her body trembling. Li Xiqing chuckled and kissed her earlobe. Shivering even more, she looked up and narrowed her eyes. Li Xiqing had a smile in his eyes. This woman was so sensitive. Going to Ireland. Wedding? Yes, wedding. Didn't you say? You forgot, I said it out of anger. Su Qianxi's eyes were red, and suddenly full of tears, they fell. Li Xiqing covered her face with his big hand and gently wiped away the tears. Don't cry. There are elders waiting for us outside for dinner. Su Qianxi pursed her lips and cried even harder. Is what you just said true? Why would I lie to you? I thought you loved Tang Menjing. Li Xiqing wiped away her tears and said unhappily, what you said is the biggest insult to yourself. Su Qianxi heard that and couldn't help laughing. Loving Tang Menjing was an insult to her? She had never realized that this guy was so good at talking before. Seeing her smile, Li Xiqing gently warned her after wiping away her tears, don't cry. Grandpa will scold me if he sees this. He looked at her pitifully. Su Qianxi's smile widened and she reached out to push him. Li Xiqing let her push him. With a rare smile, he poked her face. Why do you cry so much? No, she rarely cried in front of others. She just didn't know why she couldn't help it in front of him and unknowingly became a crybaby. Well, no. Pouting, she murmured, never. That's right. Looking up at his smiling eyes, she tugged at his sleeve and whispered, you really didn't do anything to Tang Menjing? No. Li Xiqing looked serious and said, if I had any feelings for her, it would have nothing to do with you now. Truth, the truth. Su Qianxi knew it, but she was still unhappy. Pushing him away, she opened the door and was about to go out. He put an arm around her neck and whispered, so, don't doubt me in the future. Your man is hurt. His low voice, with a bit of grievance and charm, made Su Qianxi's heart flutter. Your man, these 3 words sounded really good. Blushing, she tilted her head and whispered, are you flirting, Mr. Li? If Mrs. Li thinks so, then so be it. Their faces were so close that the tips of their noses were less than a centimeter apart. Looking at him, she suddenly bit his lips and said seriously, in the future, don't lie to me. Yes, I'm not lying. If I find out that you're lying to me, it'll be useless even if you act coquettishly. You lied to me once, I lied to you once. We're even now. Su Qianxi was dazed and thought of the time when Louis Han was discharged from the hospital. I was afraid that you would be angry. Hearing that, Li Xiqing mimicked her tone and whispered, I was afraid that you would worry. Su Qianxi was speechless. She pouted and took his hand away. Let's go. The elders are waiting for us. Okay. Li Xiqing held her hand and opened the door. They walked out side by side. As soon as they walked out, everyone in the living room looked at them. Hey, why is my cousin's mouth swollen? A child's voice rang, and everyone laughed. Chapter 361. Gratified, satisfied, shocked, and flirtatious, all kinds of gazes converged. The deer couldn't help blushing and gave him a glare. Aya, this little deer is too naughty. Li Beixing teased. Hurry up and bring your little deer over to eat. Li Xing's youngest son, Li Weiya's 5-year-old brother, heard that and looked left and right, asking, how come I don't see it? Where is the deer? The whole family couldn't help laughing. Li Xiqing walked up, rubbed his little head, and said with a straight face, that's mine. Don't even think about it. The little guy pouted and looked disgusted. Stingy second brother, I just want to see it. It's not like I can eat it. Humph, if you don't want to see it, then don't let me see it. I don't want to see it anyway. The whole family burst into laughter, and Su Qianxi blushed the most. Turning her head, she decided not to stay there and went to the kitchen to help Lu Sa set the dishes. This winter solstice reunion dinner was a happy one. Su Qianxi had never had such an atmosphere. There were family, lovers, and even her heart was warm. After dinner, Grandpa suggested that they spend the night here, and Li Xiqing directly agreed. Su Qianxi did not know about it until she helped Lu Sa clean up. Although she had expected it, she still felt a little shy after not being together for more than a month, and her face was unconsciously hot. She went out for a walk with Grandpa. When she came back, Li Xing's family had already left. Su Qianxi went back to her room and found Li Xiqing in a video conference. Seeing her come in, Li Xiqing just glanced at her and then continued to work. Su Qianxi rummaged through the closet, took out a set of pajamas, and then went straight to the bathroom. After coming out, Li Xiqing was still busy, so she took out the tablet from her bag, plugged in the headphones, and lay on the bed to watch a movie. It was an indie film that was popular some time ago, starring Deng Chao. When she saw the pig forcing a smile and wishing Swallow well, she couldn't help feeling sad. Swallow got in the car, and the pig finally couldn't help chasing after her, crying, Swallow, how can I live without you? Su Qianxi burst into tears and couldn't help crying. Suddenly, she felt his hot breath on her ear. Turning off the tablet, he whispered, you can cry while watching a movie. Why do you like to cry so much? Su Qianxi let him hold her down and reached for her tablet, shouting, give it back to me. I haven't finished reading yet. Li Xiqing unplugged her headphones and put the tablet on the bedside table. Are the people in the movie better looking than me? Su Qianxi did not get it, so she gave up. She sniffed and said sullenly, you are different from them. How is it different? You're not acting. Li Xiqing chuckled, got off her, went around to her, and lay down in the same position as her. She then found that he had taken a shower and was wearing a thin rabbit fur robe. Mrs. Li, yes? Su Qianxi also looked at him, her eyes still a little red. Do you take medicine every time you do it with Mr. Li? Su Qianxi was dazed, blushed, and shook her head. No. After answering, she suddenly realized what he meant. Every time, he did not take any safety precautions, dash. Chapter 362. Subconsciously, she touched her belly and sat cross-legged. She blinked and said, is it a safe period every time? Li Xiqing was lost in thought and began to count with his fingers. Su Qianxi blushed and patted his hand. What are you talking about? You can remember when it was? That's not true. Yes. Li Xiqing frowned. We've only done it a few times. How can I not remember? Then he sighed. We've been married for so long, and we've only done it once, twice, 5 times. It would have been fine if he did not count. Now that he did, Li Xiqing felt wronged. Lifting his eyes, a pair of pitch-black and deep eyes landed on her. There was a strong hidden bitterness in them, and the light in his eyes deepened, revealing the attributes of a naked hungry wolf. She felt a bit scared and immediately shrank back. Li Xiqing was even faster. He grabbed her and pushed her onto the bed. The soft bed swayed with their intense movements. Then, Su Qianxi's lips were sealed. Li Xiqing's movements were very gentle, so gentle that Su Qianxi's heart softened. She felt so happy. Every time he kissed her, she had a beautiful illusion that he was with her, not for sex, but for love. The kiss deepened. Su Qianxi's breathing became more rapid. When he was about to do something else, she stopped and called, "Mr. Li, yes?" Li Xiqing liked this title more and more. In the past, he felt it was too strange, but now he thought it was the sweetest. "Mr. Li, Mrs. Li." Back and forth, it was enough to cause a strong blow to the single people around. Li Xiqing's lips curled up, but he did not stop moving. He responded quietly. Su Qianxi gasped and pressed his hand down, saying, "Not today." He looked up and complained, "Mrs. Li, you are cutting the benefits." "I'm doing it." Su Qianxi's voice became lower and lower. "When?" "I just found out." Li Xiqing was about to go crazy. Gritting his teeth, he grabbed her hand as a punishment and bit her white and tender finger. Su Qianxi's fingers shrank. Her eyes were apologetic and full of interest. "Little rascal." He pulled her up and moved her to the side of the pillow. Putting an arm around her waist, he whispered, "Sleep. Behave." Su Qianxi saw his embarrassed look and was in a bad mood. She chuckled. "Don't laugh." However, she smiled even more happily. Burying her head in his chest, she couldn't help but smile. Finding a comfortable position in his arms, she closed her eyes contentedly. The Tang family wouldn't let the matter rest if they couldn't find Su Qingsang after making a scene in the Li family. Li Xiqing had expected this, so when he saw a bunch of reporters at the door of the company, his expression did not change much. Seeing Li Xiqing's car coming, the reporters rushed over like crazy. The building's security guards were not to be trifled with. They immediately came forward and pushed all the reporters away, protecting them in front of the car. The back door of the black Maybach was opened, and a tall and straight figure came out. He was wearing a black cashmere coat and a dark checkered suit, looking noble and indifferent. Faced with the overwhelming number of questions, Li Xiqing glanced around coldly. Immediately, he turned around and put one hand on the back seat of the car, while the other hand was on the roof, in case the head of the person inside was hit. Even though her expression was cold, her actions were still filled with tenderness. This caused the surrounding reporters to exclaim in surprise. Chapter 363. There is someone else in the car. Who is it? Someone yelled, and all eyes focused on the back seat of the luxury car. Everyone saw a white, soft hand put on Li Xiqing's. Then, she was wearing light green high heels, a light green skirt, and a long, cream-colored coat. Her black hair was tied into a ponytail. Perhaps because of the heat in the car, her face was a bit red. Taking a closer look, people found that her skin was unbelievably smooth. Her delicate and beautiful facial features were extremely familiar to the media. "It's Mrs. Li." "It really is Mrs. Li, Mrs. Li. I heard that Mr. Li has a mistress." "Did you know about this?" "At the press conference last time, Miss Tang said that she was pregnant with Mr. Li's child. Now, I heard that he has a mistress." "Did you know about this?" "Mrs. Li, people were constantly taking photos." She frowned and reached out to hold his arm. Gathering her coat, she looked particularly calm and said, "He is not blind." Li Xiqing looked at her and said, "He is not blind." His words silenced all the voices. Li Xiqing's cold eyes became softer and he whispered, "Let's go." "Okay." Led by Li Xiqing into the company, Su Qianxi was surrounded by all the jealous gazes and was taken to the top floor. Su Qianxi's words had caused a stir on Weibo. Her fans had skyrocketed by millions, almost as many as those famous bloggers on Weibo. The news that Tang Jianghu had sent out to smear Li Xiqing and the Li Group was all swept away. In the office of the president of the Tang Group, Tang Jianghu was furious and slammed a stack of documents down. Bastard. Last night, he had sent someone to spread the news that Li Xiqing was keeping a mistress in his house to all the bloggers and paid a lot of money to spread the news. Who would have thought that one sentence from a little girl would ruin all the effort and money he had invested? The young female secretary pushed up her glasses and said, "There is someone behind the Li group. Hacker Z works for Li Xicheng, so it is expected that we can't beat him on the internet." How could Tang Jianghu not understand this logic? But he couldn't take it anymore. He gritted his teeth and said, "Go, find 2 private detectives and have them follow him 24/7. Also, send the number 1 paparazzi and the number 1 gossip eye. I don't believe I can't find my daughter." The secretary nodded. "Yes. Go find a hacker and hack into his phone and computer. I don't believe that there are no clues at all." "Yes. Also, help me find a person. That guy is a friend of my daughter. He is very capable. His name is Rong Roy." "All right. I don't believe that Li Xicheng can do anything." Tang Jianghu sneered. "Remember to do it cleanly and secretly." "Yes, I will definitely find someone trustworthy to do it." The secretary quickly wrote it down on a piece of paper. But soon, she looked up and said, "President Tang, it's time to meet with Xingfeng. They just called me to inform me, but the contract has changed." "How?" "Increase the contract to 5 times. Tang Jianghu's eyes lit up. "Really? Xingfeng trusts us this much this time?" Chapter 364. Ha ha ha. The order has increased by 5 times, so of course, the penalty fee has also increased by 5 times. Did you get the materials I told you about a few days ago? Yes, they are in storage. Good. Keep an eye on them. Contact Germany and tell them that they may get 5 times the materials at any time. Tell Xingfeng that I will be there soon." "Okay." The secretary nodded. "However, I feel a bit strange. Xingfeng has cooperated with us so many times, but they have never given us such a large order. What happened this time?" Tang Jianghu frowned. The secretary smiled and said, "This shows that they have recognized our strength. The Tang Corporation is considered a veteran. Although it was hit by the Li Corporation 2 years ago, its development in the manufacturing industry in the past 2 years is no less than that of the Li Corporation. Perhaps this is our turning point?" Hearing that, Tang Jianghu was very satisfied and smiled happily. "Go do what you need to do." After the secretary went out, Tang Jianghu tidied up and went out as well. He looked very pleased with himself. If they were able to complete this deal, it would be the biggest profit that Tang Corp had made in the past few years. Su Qianxi was famous. Unprecedentedly famous. She was not from the entertainment industry, but in just one day, she had become more popular than any other star on Weibo. Some media directly made a list of Su Qianxi's family background, with a striking title, "Counting the True Identity of the Rich Wives." The names of Su Qianxi and the international pianist Song Yifan were at the top, attracting a lot of attention. In the capital military, Song Yifan's daughter? Rong Haiyue looked at the news on his phone and clicked on it. He was immediately attracted by the soft and delicate face. With a smile on her lips, she looked young and energetic, satisfied, and stubborn. Rong Haiyue was fascinated. After a long while, his eyes fell on the wedding photo on the table. In the wedding photo, Rong Haiyue was smiling contentedly, while the woman next to him was smiling coldly and indifferently. Her facial features were so similar to this girl's. However, this was Song Yifan's daughter. The hand holding the phone suddenly tightened. Rong Haiyue sat up from the chair and walked outside. Rong Anna was about to go out. When she saw Rong Haiyue, she shouted, "Dad, are you going out?" Rong Haiyue responded, "I'm looking for your mother." "Where is she?" "Oh, Mom went out early in the morning." "You call her, I'm going out first." "Muabai, Dad." Her witty words made Rong Haiyue's depressed mood a little better. His eyes softened and he said, "Go." Rong Anna left with a smile. Rong Haiyue picked up the phone and dialed his wife's number. The call was quickly picked up. "Hello? Where are you?" "Art Center, Symposium," he said simply. When are you coming back? What's the matter? His tone was indifferent and distant. Rong Haiyue held the phone tightly, but he still smiled and said half-jokingly, I miss you. After a moment of silence, he said, Rong Haiyue, I am very busy. With that, the call was hung up. Rong Haiyue's lips curved into a self-deprecating smile. He clicked on the message bar and sent her a message, I'm going to Kingstown for half a month. The other side quickly replied, have a nice trip. Sender, I love Xian. Rong Haiyue stared at these words for a long time before he slowly looked away, his eyes dim. This is the first time I've updated so much at once. Are you surprised? Is there any reason not to recommend me? Give it to me. Biyao Concentration Camp 1 Group 5586433293, full. Biyao Concentration Camp 2 Group 3266681054, full. Biyao Concentration Camp 3 Group 587324201, full. Chapter 365. Li Xiqing's office was very large. In addition to the office area, there was a rest area and a cloakroom. Su Qianxi was lying on the single bed in the rest area, scrolling through Weibo. Looking at the comments of netizens, she suddenly felt superior. Seeing the number of fans increasing, Su Qianxi looked a little excited and shouted, Mr. Li, do you think I will be popular if I become a Weibo celebrity? I have a lot of fans now. Not far away, Li Xiqing looked up from a thick stack of documents and saw that she had one foot on the bed and the other on the table. His lips twitching, he said quietly, Mrs. Li, mind your image. Su Qianxi did not care at all and did not look up. There is no one else here. This position is comfortable. This position was comfortable. Li Xiqing suddenly thought of her position. His mouth was dry and his eyes were burning. It seems that you want to try it. Su Qianxi was dazed, looked up, and suddenly blushed. Pervert. Li Xiqing curled his lips slightly. When he was about to say something, he heard a knock on the office door. I will deal with you later. Come in. Su Qianxi quickly put her feet down and lay upright. Qingyu glanced at the expressions of Li Xiqing and his wife and suddenly felt humiliated. She coughed and said, Boss, it's all done. Tang Zhenghao has already met with people from Xingfeng. Yes. Luo Zhan said that he caught a hacker hacking into your phone and computer and has taken care of it. He drove them away. Yes. Li Xiqing raised an eyebrow. That's all? How can that be? We should return the favor. Hearing such meaningful words, Qingyu shivered and asked, What do you mean? I asked you to sort out the things a few days ago. Have you done it? Yes. Give them to Luo Zhan and let them steal these confidential information. Qingyu was in awe. Yes. Su Qianxi was secretly shocked, but her admiration for Li Xiqing was even more endless. So insidious, so scary. However, he was so powerful and handsome. Li Xiqing met her gaze and looked down at his watch. Are you hungry? Let's go eat. Okay. She got up from the bed and scratched her hair. What do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? Hot pot. No, you're not feeling well. You can eat non-spicy food. Can you stand it? He glanced at her. She pouted. I'll just eat a little. Be good and eat something else. Qingyu stood there and wanted to cry. You can't play like this. His mouth was stuffed with a mouthful of dog food, and his heart was bleeding. Let's eat McDonald's then. No, this kind of thing has no nutrition, then Pizza Hut. Li Xiqing said, there's a new kanji restaurant nearby. It's not far. I'll take you there. Oh, okay. Su Qianxi actually had a good impression of the porridge. Would you like to join us, Assistant Cheng? No. You guys go ahead. I'll eat by myself. Before eating, she had already been showered with food. If she had to eat with them, she would probably be paralyzed. Watching the couple leave, Qingyu, who was single, said that she was heartbroken. She accepted her fate and ordered takeout with the mobile app, and then continued to work. Not far from the kanji restaurant, Li Xicheng and Su Qianxi walked side by side. Although the rain had stopped, the road was still a bit wet. Chapter 366. They are Tang Jianghu's men. Li Xicheng hugged her and whispered, "Don't be afraid. They are just detectives. They won't hurt us. They are looking for Tang Menjing?" "Most likely." "You moved Tang Menjing again?" Li Xicheng had given Tang Menjing the house in Jianghu. If they were looking for someone, they would definitely go to the house in Jianghu. Now they had to follow him. It must be because they couldn't find him in Jianghu. That was why they had to do this, right? "Yes, they moved to a place near our house." "It can't be. It can't be the one behind, right?" "Yes." Su Qianxi gasped in shock. "Are you not afraid that they will go there?" "That is too dangerous. They are not stupid. They must know that you have another house behind our house. The most dangerous place is the safest place." Li Xicheng rubbed her hair. "Your man is not stupid either." Su Qianxi blinked, not quite understanding. Li Xicheng moved closer and said, "They have already looked. They will not go there again in a short time. Besides, there are traps in the house." "Traps?" Su Qianxi's eyes widened. "How did such a high and mighty thing do it?" "It's new. Rong Rui helped me install it," Li Xicheng explained. "So Rong Rui also knows how to install traps. But isn't he Tang Menjing's gunman? Why would he help you?" "He is my man now." Su Qianxi was even more surprised. "How did you bribe him?" She remembered that this guy was very stubborn and would not be persuaded at all. "Qingyu took care of him." "Ah, Qingyu? Could it be that the two of them would still be together in this lifetime?" The more Su Qianxi thought about it, the more likely it seemed. In her previous lifetime, Rong Rui was really nice to Qingyu, and their daughter was also very cute. Qingyu was busy with work, so Rong Rui dressed the child up as a little princess. The family of three was also happy. "Well, here we are." Li Xicheng took her in. The waiter recognized them at a glance and took them to an antique private room. Su Qianxi ordered seafood porridge. Because it was freshly cooked, it took half an hour for the porridge to be served. She ordered some snacks in between, so when the porridge was served, she was almost full. However, she found that the porridge tasted particularly good. She enjoyed it and drank 2 bowls in one go. When she finished, it was more than an hour later. Accidentally, she ate too much and felt uncomfortable. Leaning on Li Xicheng, she did not want to move. Li Xicheng helplessly supported her and walked out. Li Xicheng felt a bit helpless and helped her out. "Although this one is new, the taste is very good. If you come to Kingstown, you must try the specialties of Kingstown. Otherwise, it would be a wasted trip." A slightly fat middle-aged man led a tall and strong middle-aged man into the restaurant. Li Xicheng, Su Qianxi's Tong, and Xichenged. Cheng, Li, and Heng, I Teet, I Chenged. Seeming to notice his gaze, Su Qianxi looked up at him. The middle-aged man in front of her had a cold and reserved temperament. When he glanced around, his eyes were like an eagle, full of sharpness. He didn't do it on purpose, it was just a habit. Chapter 367. She smiled politely and nodded. The middle-aged man also nodded slightly at her and quickly moved his eyes away from her, following the fat man. "Do you know him?" Li Xicheng looked down and asked. "No, but he looks a bit familiar." "Yes, Major General of the Army, Rong Haiyue." "Oh. Never heard of him. I've only heard of Li Shao." Li Xicheng's eyes were softer, but he was still expressionless. he said in a disdainful tone, ignorant. I am not in this circle. It's normal that I don't know him, she said matter-of-factly. As they spoke, they had already left the restaurant. What they did not know was that Rong Haiyue, who had just passed by them, had already stopped and looked at Su Qianxi's back. When they were far away, Rong Haiyue slowly looked away, feeling a pain in his heart. She was really like her. But that girl was Song Yifun's daughter. Mr. Rong, the room is ready. Come in. Okay. Since he had stolen the confidential document from Li Xiqing's computer, Tang Zhenghao had learned the real strength of the Li family. It was a little more powerful than he had expected, but not too far apart. Knowing the strength of his opponent, Tang Zhenghao, who had been worried by Li Xiqing's pretense, suddenly felt relieved. No wonder Xing Feng chose the Tang family instead of the Li family. It turned out that Xing Feng had already estimated the strength of the Li family. Two partners with similar strength, of course, it was safer to work with the more established Tang family. After successfully signing the contract, Tang Zhenghao was very happy and gave bonuses to all the employees. Suddenly, the Tang family was full of laughter. After hearing about the current situation of the Tang family, Li Xiqing ordered, "You can start. Follow the original plan." His voice was calm, but Xingyu felt that the man in front of her was extremely dangerous. Yes, sir. Extreme joy turned to sorrow. Less than 3 days after the bonuses were handed out, Tang Core received a shocking piece of news. The first batch of materials imported from Germany more than half a month ago was detained at the customs because they were suspected of hiding toxic substances. Seeing that the time was getting closer and closer, the factory could not start because of the lack of raw materials, Tang Zhenghao anxiously ran up and down to open up his connections everywhere. However, at this critical moment, Mrs. Tang rushed into the company and cried, "I found our daughter. I found her." Tang Zhenghao was supposed to be happy that he found his daughter. However, when he heard his wife's loud voice, his head started to hurt even more. Holding his head, Tang Zhenghao said impatiently, "Found it? Where is it?" "It's in Wuxia, behind Li Xiqing's villa. He has another mansion. Menjing is there. She is there." "Really?" Tang Zhenghao sat up, a little uneasy. "How did you know?" "Those private investigators you sent out, they took pictures. I couldn't hear their voices, so I went to find a lip reader. He said the most dangerous place is the safest place. He told Su Qianxi himself." Tang Zhenghao's mood finally improved. He stood up excitedly. "Quick, send someone to look for him." "No, I want Li Xiqing to go to jail. Now that the evidence is conclusive, I don't believe he can deny it." "So what if he is from the Li family?" "Li Xiqing is going to jail for sure." The third night watch, one night watch was made in advance of yesterday's redress of grievances, and the last night watch will be reserved for the redress of grievances in the daytime tomorrow. Chapter 368. In the morning. When Su Qianxi woke up, there was no one next to her. Stretching and yawning, she got up comfortably and went to the bathroom to wash up. When she went downstairs, Nanny Rong had already prepared breakfast. Li Xiqing came in wearing casual clothes and seemed to be in a good mood. Eating breakfast, Su Qianxi looked at him and asked, "Where did you go?" "In the back." Li Xiqing washed his hands and sat down in front of her. He took a sip of milk and said, "I'll take you to see a good show later." "What show?" "Let's eat first." What Li Xiqing said must be a good show. Su Qianxi finished the bread quickly and took a sip of milk. She could not wait to ask, "What show?" Li Xiqing chewed slowly, wiped the milk off the corner of her mouth, and said, "Don't worry. They are not done yet. 2 more minutes." Su Qianxi waited patiently. Li Xiqing took the last sip of milk and looked at his watch. "Okay, let's go." He took Su Qianxi to the back of the house, where Tang Menjing was said to be locked up. Before they got close, they saw 2 police cars and 2 luxury cars parked in front of the house. Su Qianxi's eyes widened and her heart was in her throat. She grabbed Li Xiqing's hand and asked, "What should we do? Have we been discovered? How did they find this place?" "Don't be afraid. It's expected." Li Xiqing rubbed her hair. "Don't let the cat out of the bag. Calm down." Su Qianxi was a bit scared. Looking at him, she felt uneasy. Seeing her expression, Li Xiqing smiled and immediately walked forward with her in his arms. A police officer saw Li Xiqing coming and immediately looked down at the information in his hand. He walked up and said, "Are you Li Xiqing?" "Yes. We now suspect you of human kidnapping and illegal imprisonment. This is the search warrant." Li Xiqing glanced at it and did not look panicked at all. He arched an eyebrow and said, "Did you find it?" The police officer did not expect Li Xiqing to be so calm. He couldn't help but look at him thoughtfully. "We are still searching. If we find it, you will be sued by the family of the victim." As soon as he finished speaking, a few police officers rushed out of the villa, followed closely by the Tang couple. "Sir, no one's here." Mrs. Tang walked out. When she saw Li Xiqing, she immediately cried, "Li Xiqing, you little bastard! Where did you hide my daughter? Give me back my daughter." Then she was about to hit Li Xiqing. Li Xiqing took Su Qianxi in his arms and took a step back, looking at Mrs. Tang coldly. Seeing this, the policeman hurried to stop Mrs. Tang. "Where did you hide my daughter this time? Give her back to me. Give her back to me." Mrs. Tang cried hysterically like a crazy woman. Tang Zhenghao's face was gloomy. He looked at Li Xiqing and said in a deep voice, "Li Xiqing. Uncle Tang, I don't think I've done anything wrong to you. How can you say that I've imprisoned your daughter without any evidence?" "Who said there's no evidence? I have evidence." Mrs. Tang broke free from the policeman, took out her phone, and quickly found the video taken by the detectives. The video showed Li Xiqing's face clearly, including his lips, but not Su Qianxi's face. Li Xiqing's face was expressionless. His dark eyes were extremely cold. Seeing the video, he sneered. Chapter 369. Mrs. Tang felt goosebumps and scolded, "What are you laughing at? The evidence is right here. Do you still want to deny it?" Li Xiqing grabbed the phone and looked at the officer, saying, "Mr. Officer, I now have sufficient evidence to prove that she stalked me and seriously violated my privacy, image, and reputation. Mrs. Tang's behavior has seriously constituted a crime of defamation." Mrs. Tang was dazed, but soon her face paled and she yelled, "You bastard, you are slandering me." Li Xiqing ignored her and threw the phone to the officer. The officer gave Li Xiqing a deep look and watched the video from beginning to end. "Mr. Police, don't listen to his nonsense. This is the evidence that he imprisoned my daughter. Look at his lips. He admitted it himself. He locked my daughter up here. Did you find her?" Su Qianxi looked at Mrs. Tang with a hint of sarcasm in her eyes. There should be a limit to making things up. Mrs. Tang was speechless and just stared at Su Qianxi. If it were not for the officer, Su Qianxi had no doubt that Mrs. Tang would slap herself. However, seeing her like this, Mrs. Tang was secretly pleased and continued, "You are not only wasting your time, but also the police force. Since we are neighbors, if you apologize to my husband, we won't sue you." Li Xiqing heard that and glanced at Su Qianxi with a smile. Su Qianxi was thrilled. However, seeing the miserable look on Mrs. Tang's face, she felt that she was the worst person in the world. She was in cahoots with Li Xiqing. That was horrible. When did she start to be influenced by Li Xiqing? If they were in a movie, they would definitely be the villains. Mrs. Tang was furious and yelled, "Little b asterisk tch, little b asterisk tch, you want me to apologize? Bah! Give my daughter back. Give her back. I'm doing this for your own good. Why are you cursing like this? It's so unpleasant." She shrank behind Li Xiqing and whispered, looking scared. Come back with me. The officer looked at them deeply and said, "This lady is right. Your evidence has violated the privacy, reputation, and portrait rights of others, and indeed did not find your daughter here. Your evidence is not strong enough." Lip reading, Mr. Police, look at his lips, this kid admitted it himself. If you have anything to say it back at the station. The officer was a bit impatient. Waving his hand, he looked at Li Xicheng and Su Qianxi. You two come with me. Su Qianxi was a bit nervous. She had never been to the police station before. Was she going in today? Li Xicheng felt her nervousness. He reached out and patted her hand, saying, "Mr. Officer, I'm willing to cooperate, but my wife doesn't seem to like that kind of place very much. I'd better ask my lawyer to talk to you." The officer glanced at Su Qianxi and nodded. As soon as possible. Tang Jianghu did not speak. On the way to the police car, he stared at Li Xicheng. Seeing Li Xicheng nodding at him so casually, he had a bad feeling. He had a strong feeling that he had not only fallen into Li Xicheng's trap, Chapter 370. Seeing the police car driving away, Su Qianxi held Li Xicheng's hand excitedly and exclaimed, "Did you do it on purpose? You are so good." Li Xicheng chuckled, took her in his arms and said, "Let's go." "Where to?" "Grandpa's birthday party is coming up. Let's go pick out a gift for him." Su Qianxi blinked. Grandpa's 70th birthday was half a month after the winter solstice. There were less than 10 days left. She had actually forgotten about it. What should I buy for Grandpa? In his previous lifetime, Li Xicheng had bought his grandpa a very rare glass sun-green jade pendant. It was carved with a 10,000-year-old pine tree, with a parrot resting on it, implying longevity, righteousness, and wisdom. When Grandpa received the gift, he was very happy. And she seemed to have given an oil painting in her previous lifetime, and Tang Menjing led her to be despised by everyone. Although Grandpa did not say anything, Su Qianxi could tell that he did not like the gift. Later on, Su Qianxi learned to cater to what he liked. Grandpa was a Chinese through and through. How could he like foreign things? Thinking about something else, Li Xicheng pinched her face. "What are you thinking about?" Su Qianxi shook her head, but thinking of the past, she still felt a bit down. Li Xicheng went back to the car and took her to a mall. There were not many people in the mall. Occasionally, there were people dressed in expensive clothes. Li Xicheng took the elevator to the top floor and walked to a stall selling jade. The stall owner saw Li Xicheng and greeted him, "Mr. Li, is the thing I want ready?" "Yes, it is. I copied it according to your design. Let me show it to you." The boss turned around and squatted down for the whole afternoon. He carefully took out a box from the safe below. The box was locked, and the stall owner gently unlocked it with a key. Su Qianxi was immediately attracted by what was inside. It was indeed this thing. The stall owner took out the jade pendant carefully, fearing that he would knock it. Glass green jade was rare, and it was even rarer to see such a perfect one. The jade pendant was about half the size of a palm. The water level was so good that it almost dripped out. It was smooth and exquisite. There was a green pine carved on it. The leaves on the pine were all sun green, and there was a colorful parrot on the branch. A red jade was impressively dotted into an eyeball. The carving was exquisite and lifelike. Below them was the lakeside of Qingshui Lake. A ginseng was impressively carved on it, symbolizing longevity. It was perfect as a birthday gift. This gift was too rare to come by, and it was too precious. He was very satisfied. "Wrap it up." The shop owner was overjoyed. He quickly wrapped up the jade pendant and carefully handed it to Li Xicheng. He swiped his card and found that she was looking at a pair of swans. It was not a jade pendant, but a pendant inlaid with 18K gold. The lines were smooth, and the pieces of diamond surrounded the high-ice jadeite. Under the light of the jewelry window, it was beautiful and perfect. You like it? Li Xiqing took a closer look. Chapter 371. If one of them dies, the other one will not live alone. The color and shape of this pair of main stones are very similar. It is very rare to find a pair of jade stones that match each other so well. Look at the color of this one, it is exactly the same as this one. It is very difficult to find. The male is on the left, and the female is on the right. Since Mrs. Li likes it, you can take it with you. Su Qianxi really liked it, especially after hearing the meaning of the boss. She liked it even more. Wrap it up, Li Xiqing said. Su Qianxi looked at him suspiciously. Do you know how to wear it? This is not only a necklace, but also a brooch. Mr. Li, you can wear it as a brooch. With this, you won't look girly. The shopkeeper hastily took something out from under the table, and with a few twists and turns, turned the necklace into a brooch. Li Xiqing actually didn't like it. It was obviously something that girls would like. Why would he wear it? However, it was rare for Su Qianxi to like something, so she decided to buy it first. Su Qianxi took the brooch, turned around, and put it on the left side of Li Xiqing's coat. Yes, very handsome. Su Qianxi smiled brightly and put the necklace on her neck. She turned around and asked, "Does it look good?" "Yes," Li Xiqing said without thinking. Su Qianxi pouted. Perfunctory. Li Xiqing curled his lips and added, "Mrs. Li looks good no matter what." Showing off, the staff of the jade shop were so jealous that they wanted to scratch the wall. The shop owner was experienced. He calmly took Li Xiqing's card, swiped it, and respectfully sent the customer away. Su Qianxi walked around the mall but still could not think of anything to give Grandpa. She frowned. Don't rush. Take it slow. There are still a few days. Thinking of her previous lifetime, every time she gave Grandpa something, he did not seem to like it very much. Otherwise, she could use that as a reference. Suddenly, Su Qianxi had an idea. She looked up, her eyes sparkling. Mr. Li, I got it. Yes? I will make a longevity peach for Grandpa. Longevity peach? Yes, yes. She gestured with her hand. It's a peach this big. It's actually a bun. If I made it myself, would Grandpa be very happy? Yes. This is it then. She breathed a sigh of relief. But is it too cheap? Should I buy something else? How could your kind intentions be cheap? If she personally made something for him, he would treasure it like a priceless treasure. Li Xiqing's eyes became softer as he rubbed her head. Since you've thought of it, come with me to O Ming's place. O Ming? So far, Su Qianxi had only seen him a few times. In a real sense, they had only met once. The last time she had a miscarriage and was hospitalized. Yes, he's going to propose to that woman and bring her out to meet people. That woman? You Lily. Su Qianxi blinked. You Lily will not agree. Li Xiqing glanced at her. You know her quite well. We've been classmates for 3 years, after all. More importantly, she clearly knew that Yu Lily did not marry O Ming at all. She even died in his hands. The 3rd chapter. I've written a lot in the past 2 days. I tried to update it all at once, but everyone thought I didn't. I tried to redress the injustice, but I was scolded. It's not easy to write a book. Please read it and cherish it. Notice, next Tuesday, 25th, the book will officially go on sale for a fee. There will be 30 to 50 chapters. After that, there will be a minimum of 8,000 chapters. There will be frequent updates. Thank you for your support. Recommending October Night Wei-Yang's excellent novel, My Beautiful Wife. See you tonight. Xiao Xiaoxia cried, since I married you, I've been in trouble every day. Chapter 372. Not a good thing. Li Xiqing reached out and touched her nose. Don't get too close to that woman. You will be led astray. She flinched and held his hand with a smile. I won't. You will teach me well. Li Xiqing was very satisfied with her flattery and put his big hand around her waist. They are in Palace 1. Let's go. Palace 1 was in the center of Kingstown, an entertainment venue owned by O Group. When they arrived at room 888, O Ming was holding a woman in his arms and singing a love song. They were singing Zhang Shui's Lovesickness in the Wind and Rain. It was a classic old song, and both of them had good voices, but Luo Zhan was sitting on the side like an idiot. Seeing Li Xiqing coming in, Luo Zhan was happy at first, but when he saw his wife behind him, he suddenly became depressed. She threw herself onto the sofa, her face full of grief and indignation as she shouted, "Why did I have to keep the appointment?" However, no one heard his cry at all. Li Xiqing sat down with Su Qianxi, picked up a pillow, and threw it at Luo Zhan's face. Luo Zhan was killed on the spot. After the song, O Ming put down the microphone and walked toward Li Xiqing. "Qianqian, come sing." Yu Lily called. "I remember you were a microphone hog in high school. Do you know how to sing, actress?" "Yes." Su Qianxi immediately stood up and trotted over excitedly, picking up the microphone that O Ming had just put down. "Come on." The familiar melody sounded, and when O Ming's face appeared on the big screen, Su Qianxi looked even more excited. Yu Lily gestured to her, indicating that she should sing first. A low female voice sounded, and the voice was very beautiful. "Keep it simple." O Ming looked at the two women and couldn't help but laugh. He picked up the cigarette on the table and threw one to Li Xiqing, asking, "Have you eaten?" "No." Li Xiqing took the cigarette and let O Ming light it for him. Well, O Ming took a drag and slowly exhaled. "Let's go eat later." Li Xiqing glanced at him, then his eyes fell on Yu Lily. "Are you serious?" he asked out of nowhere. O Ming bit the cigarette with a smile in his eyes. "Yeah. Your dad won't agree. I'm the one marrying him, not him. He can't control me." "By force?" "I can't." Li Xiqing took a puff of the unsmoked cigarette, flicked the ash, and said ambiguously, "After getting married, things will be different. F***ck off. I've had her for 3 years and slept with her for 2 years. I'm just missing a certificate." "What's the difference?" Luo Zhan leaned over and listened. "That woman's heart isn't with you. She'll run away sooner or later." O Ming was speechless. He took a deep drag of the cigarette and looked into her eyes as if he wanted to suck her in like a cigarette. It wasn't that he hadn't thought about this before. But what if? Yu Lily didn't know what to do. If she got married and had children, it would be a different story. "Why don't we coax her to give birth to a child first, and then marry her? Isn't that better?" Luo Zhan leaned over and said. O Ming glanced at him and said helplessly, "When I don't wear a condom, she will take medicine." "Then she won't take it if you wear it?" "Nonsense, why would she take medicine if she wears a condom?" Luo Zhan leaned over and whispered, "Then you wear it and poke a few holes on the condom." Fourth update. All 4 groups were full, and there were still more than 100 messages that hadn't passed the review. It doesn't matter if you can't join. Anyway, I don't plan to create another group. After it's online, there will be a VIP group, and there will be various benefits. Seeing that many people were asking about the fee, 1 chapter equals 1,000 words equals 0.05 yuan equals 5 book coins, 1 yuan equals 100 book coins equals 20 chapters, 1 bottle of mineral water equals 200 book coins equals 40 chapters. If everyone's level is higher, it may only be 3 to 4 book coins per chapter. It's very cost-effective and cheap. After the fee, there will be a minimum of 8 chapters per day. Generally, there should be 10 chapters. Of course, if people think it's too expensive, I can have less. If not, I can have more. Chapter 373. Hearing that, O Ming said, "Insidious. Good idea. Li Xiqing agreed. It's best to change her medicine. You are more insidious. Luo Zhan looked contemptuous. Stop pretending. We are all jackals of the same tribe. I am not. Li Xiqing pushed him away. Oh Ming also looked at him contemptuously. Me neither. Luo Zhan was speechless. After singing a song, Su Qianxi and Yu Lili saw the three men together and glanced at each other. Yu Lili looked down. What are they talking about? I don't know. Hey, do you think that Luo Zhan looks gay? He doesn't have a girlfriend, and he is so close to them. Pfft. Su Qianxi couldn't help but spit into the microphone. The three men looked over, and Su Qianxi quickly put down the microphone and whispered, No way, he looks quite normal. Abnormal, okay? You see, he is also good-looking. He is already 26 years old. Why hasn't he been in a relationship? If it is not a physical problem, it is a psychological problem, or a brain problem. Ha 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 ha. Su Qianxi laughed mercilessly. The three men quickly dispersed and went to dinner with the two women. However, after Yu Lili said that, Su Qianxi's look at Luo Zhan became a bit strange. She heard that gay people would walk with their legs clamped, so she deliberately walked a little slower to look at his walking posture. She heard that gay people like to wear tight pants, and she heard, Su Qianxi's expression was strange, and Li Xiqing immediately found it. He put his arm around her waist and whispered, What's wrong? Su Qianxi shook her head and coughed. Was she being too obvious? When they arrived at the private room that O Ming had booked, when they were ordering, Yu Lili asked casually, Does Luo Zhan like sweets? What? Luo Zhan was flattered to be mentioned. Is caramel pudding okay? Okay, thank you, sister-in-law. Su Qianxi silently noted that Luo Zhan liked sweets. Seeing Yu Lili's gaze, she also joined in the line of questioning. Do you usually exercise? Yes, what sports do you like? Swimming, volleyball, tennis, It's over. All of them. Su Qianxi wailed, looking at him with some pity. Hearing Su Qianxi's words, Yu Lili almost laughed out loud. She covered her face with the menu and laughed so hard. Li Xiqing and O Ming suddenly understood and couldn't help laughing. Luo Zhan was speechless, but when he saw that everyone was laughing, he felt as if an arrow had been shot in his heart. He roared with grief and indignation, I'm a straight man. The waiter who came in to order couldn't help but laugh when he heard that. Luo Zhan's heart sank. It was bad enough that he was a single dog, but he even had to be questioned about his sexual orientation. His days were too king miserable. He stood up decisively, turned around, and left. O Ming smiled and asked, Hey, where are you going? Toilet. There's a toilet in the room. I'll go outside. Luo Zhan angrily walked to the bathroom outside, unzipped it, and fired it into the urinal. At this time, a young man who looked gentle came in from outside. Wearing a blue suit and a pair of rimless glasses, his facial features were handsome, and his temperament was clean. He looked a little weak, but he was still tall. Luo Zhan glanced at his crotch, then looked at himself, and pouted. This is what King Gay is like. His temperament is off the charts. With his size, how could he be considered a man? It's a new week, please vote. La 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 la. Chapter 374. With his size, he could be regarded as a man. The man in the suit clearly felt the gaze from the next door, and he was a little scared. He finished it as quickly as possible, and did not even dare to shake it off. He just zipped up and turned to wash his hands. Luo Zhan also finished and walked over. When he was washing his hands, he inadvertently glanced at the water stains under the blue suit. While washing his hands, he kindly reminded, Dude, your crotch is wet. When the young man heard that, he suddenly shivered and did not dare to wash his hands. He turned off the faucet and immediately turned away. It was a terrible year to meet a pervert in the bathroom. Luo Zhan saw his reaction and was angry, shouting, "Hey, what do you mean?" The young man just pretended not to hear, and in a hurry, he did not notice the water on the ground. He slipped and almost fell. Fortunately, he held the door frame, or he would have fallen very badly. Luo Zhan saw this scene, was even more angry, and reached out to put his hand on the man's shoulder. The man immediately turned around, slapped his hand away, and said angrily, "I am a straight man." Luo Zhan was speechless. Suddenly, he felt like thousands of arrows were piercing his heart, making him feel that there was nothing left to live for. Gritting his teeth, Luo Zhan was a little angry. "Which eye of yours saw that I am gay?" The man in the suit had a look of disgust on his face, reached out and slapped Luo Zhan's hand away, and hurried away. "Damn, what the hell?" Luo Zhan cursed and watched him walk in the direction of the box where they were. Yu Lily came out to make a phone call. At a glance, she saw the man, and her eyes lit up, shouting, "Louis Han." When Louis Han saw her, there was surprise in his eyes, but soon he smiled and said, "What a coincidence, you also come here for dinner." "Oh, so you know each other?" Luo Zhan came up from behind. "Sister-in-law, introduce me." "Sister-in-law," the smile on Yu Lily's face froze, and her face became cold. "Who is your sister-in-law?" "Don't call me that." Luo Zhan was taken aback. Didn't he call her sister-in-law all morning? She also happily answered. Why did she have such a big reaction now? "This is my high school classmate, Louis Han. Let me introduce you. This is Luo Zhan, Hacker Z, I've heard a lot about you," Louis Han said. Luo Zhan smiled and reached out to him, but Louis Han looked at his hand and frowned, but did not reach out. He glanced at Yu Lily and said, "I have a client, so I won't say much." "Okay, go do your work." After Yu Lily finished speaking, Louis Han turned around and left, without any intention of paying any attention to Luo Zhan. Luo Zhan was a little embarrassed and angry. Did this kid really think he was gay? F***ck. What an injustice. Luo Zhan felt that it was necessary for him to find a girlfriend to calm down. No, he should go to a nightclub and find a beautiful girl to break his virginity. Otherwise, he would be suspected all the time, and his heart would be filled with grief. During the meal, Luo Zhan felt the most aggrieved. Being taken care of by two good sisters and being ridiculed by two good brothers, he could not lose his temper. Otherwise, these two henpecked men would kill him at any moment, making him look like a stuffed biscuit. When O Ming suggested going to the leisure club under his name, Luo Zhan immediately found an excuse to escape. Going downstairs and driving, Luo Zhan saw a familiar figure on the side of the road. Qing Yu was holding a stack of documents, as if waiting for the bus. Luo Zhan's eyes lit up, stopped on the side of the road, and shouted, "Assistant Qing, where are you going?" "Get in the car." Qing Yu immediately got in the car with the documents. Luo Zhan drove and asked, "Where is the car that Lao Er gave you?" "Oh, don't talk about it. It broke down and was sent to be repaired." "Bad luck." "Oh." Luo Zhan responded, a little struggling in his heart. After a long while, he turned his head and said, "Assistant Qing, you don't have a boyfriend yet, right? What do you think of me?" Qing Yu was speechless. Luo Zhan smiled brightly, leaned on the steering wheel with what he thought was his most handsome face, bowed his head, and asked, "I'll treat you to dinner tonight. Do you want to date? Ask you out for a dead head. Wan Lily, Mr. Luo, are you happy?" "Luo Zhan, why are you treating me like this? I don't accept it." Chapter 375. Tang Zhenghao's detective only saw Li Xiqing's face in the video, and Li Xiqing did not mention a word about Tang Menjing from beginning to end. His original plan to send Li Xiqing to prison failed, and he suffered the consequences of his own actions. Tang Zhenghao made a prompt decision and put all the blame on Mrs. Tang. He returned to the company to deal with the company's affairs and try to get his wife out. Finally, after paying a high price to make Li Xiqing's lawyer lose the case, Mrs. Tang came out of the police station 5 days later. This matter had a great impact on the Tang Group. The shareholders held a shareholders' meeting and strongly demanded an explanation from Tang Jianghu. After Tang Jianghu finally appeased the shareholders, he encountered another problem. The raw materials imported from Germany had been approved by the customs, but some of them needed to be detained and released after they were all checked. Tang Jianghu did not dare to disobey. He hurried to show his sincerity and got the materials back. However, at this time, Xingfeng called and asked to ship some of the finished products first. When Tang Jianghu had a headache and asked for 2 more days, Xingfeng's tone changed. I have already ordered this batch of products from you. You said you had them in stock, which is why I gave you such a big order. Now you are telling me that it is not ready yet. How can I explain it to my superiors? You can't say that. It is not the first time we have cooperated with Xingfeng. It's because it's not the first time we've worked together that I trust you so much. The higher-ups originally intended to give it to the Li Group. I gave you such an important order because I think highly of you. Now you're telling me that you can't get it? Don't tell me you've forgotten what was written in the agreement some time ago. Tang Jianghu felt even more headache and quickly said yes. Then I will give you 2 more days. If the goods are not delivered by then, I will consider it as a breach of contract. Tang Jianghu's face changed dramatically and he exclaimed, 2 days. How? How was it possible? Before he finished, the phone had been hung up. Preposterous, preposterous. Tang Jianghu was so angry that he paced back and forth on the spot. He picked up his phone and was about to call back, but the call was immediately hung up. He stomped his feet and simply called the factory that was rushing to work. Hurry up and recruit people. Overtime. We must get the first batch out within 2 days. That penalty fee. Even if he lost his entire company, it still wouldn't be enough. Tomorrow was Grandpa's birthday party, and Su Qianxi finally bought a gift for Grandpa on the last day. Li Xiqing was not back yet. Su Qianxi had dinner, took a shower, and studied in the living room. When Li Xiqing came back, it was already past 9 p.m. Seeing him coming back, she put down the book and asked, "Have you eaten?" Not yet. Okay, take a seat. I'll heat up some food for you. Okay. He looked at her softly. I'll go take a shower first. N. After Su Qianxi heated up the dishes, Li Xiqing came downstairs, wearing only a rabbit fur robe. She hugged her thick coral velvet pajamas. Seeing him dressed like this, she asked, "Aren't you cold?" "I'm not cold. Eat with me." "Yeah." She sat down. "You haven't finished that thing yet?" "Almost. I'm dealing with the acquisition of Tangkor." "Acquisition of Tangkor?" Su Qianxi's eyes widened. Tang Jianghu's Tangkor? Yes, Tangkor is bankrupt. Kids who have written long reviews can join Lily's harem 5937277013. The administrator will teach you how to do it. If you haven't written a long review, please behave. P.S. Impromptu reviews do not count. Chapter 376. Su Qianxi gasped and asked incredulously, "Why so sudden?" "Not sudden." Li Xiqing looked up, and there was some softness in his deep eyes. "I have been planning for more than 2 months, and I just closed the net a few days ago. I took over the order from Xingfeng and Tang Group." It was rare for him to patiently explain to her. His voice was deep and mellow, no different from usual. However, Su Qianxi felt a bit distressed. He had been as busy as a top these days and must be exhausted. It was a few minutes later when he finished. Su Qianxi gasped and felt a little scared. "No way, such a big mess, and you dare to take it on." Xingfeng screwed Tang Jianghu over. "Don't let them screw us over too." "Don't worry. The vice president of Xingfeng is Qin. Su Qianxi's eyes widened. Mom's family? Yes, my uncle. No way. It was the first time that Su Qianxi's brain worked so fast. You and your uncle set Tang Jianghu up? Li Xiqing paused and poked her forehead. Am I such a sinister person in your eyes? Su Qianxi's face darkened slightly. Su Qianxi nodded without hesitation. Li Xiqing narrowed his eyes and said, "This is called outsmarting him. Tang Jianghu asked for it." "You're lying. How dare you say you are not sinister?" Li Xiqing was in a very good mood. Curling his lips, he finished the last mouthful of soup and waved at her. "Come here." "What?" Although she asked, she still walked over. He pulled her, and she fell into his arms. Su Qianxi's heart raced. Looking at his hungry eyes, she already knew what he wanted to do. Sure enough, Li Xiqing put an arm around her waist and said, "Mrs. Li, let's try it in the kitchen." Su Qianxi suddenly felt numb and immediately struggled. "No. Let's go back to the room. I heard it's very exciting. Let's try it." "I heard. It must be O Ming again." In the past few days, because of what he had heard, he had taken her to the living room and the balcony. Su Qianxi was reluctant. But in the end, she still couldn't resist his coercion and was directly pressed against the refrigerator door. In the end, she surrendered under his ferocity. She hung on him, panting, for fear of falling. He hugged her and whispered in her ear, "Today is your ovulation period. Let's have a baby, Mrs. Li, Su Qianxi had no time to refuse and was attacked by him again, unable to fight back. Captain Li's 70th birthday was arranged at the only 6-star hotel in Kingstown. The invited guests were all personally selected by the old master himself, and they were all important figures of the older generation. At 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, most of the guests had arrived, and the scene was very lively. In the kitchen of the hotel, Su Qianxi took out the peach with a thick pair of heat-resistant gloves and exclaimed, "It smells so good." Li Xiqing smiled. "Grandpa will be very happy to see it." Su Qianxi couldn't help smiling as well. She carefully put the peach on a white porcelain plate and decorated it according to the chef's instructions. Li Xiqing's phone rang. It was Laurel, who was guarding Tang Menjing. Picking up the phone, he heard a hurried voice. "Sir, it's bad. Miss Tang's water broke. I'm afraid she's going to give birth. Weibo has been opened. She will often post new updates and small spoilers on Weibo. After she goes online, she will set up a VIP group. Everyone can follow her content, and the group number will be announced. Weibo name, Uncle Wan Lily. If you can't find him, please search for him at least 30 chapters. I'll try to post more, after 010. I recommend Su Gemo's new book, Hot Little Sweetheart, Big CEO, Don't Come Here." Chapter 377. Sir, bad news. Miss Tang's water broke. I'm afraid she's going to give birth. Li Xiqing's eyes flashed, so bright and sharp that Su Qianxi couldn't help but look at him. Although he was still expressionless, she could tell from the slight smile on his face that he was in a better mood than before. "Okay, have Hunter take her to the first hospital." "Yes, sir," Laurel said. Hanging up the phone, he looked at Su Qianxi and whispered, "Tang Menjing is going to give birth." Su Qianxi's eyes widened, she could not believe it. Only 7 months. She's making trouble every day. Premature birth is expected. Li Xiqing said, picked up his phone and dialed Sheng Yu's number. Kingstown First Hospital, Tang Menjing is going to give birth prematurely as planned. Sheng Yu immediately calmed down and became excited, shouting, "Yes, boss." Seeing him hang up the phone, Su Qianxi asked, "Are you going to see it?" "You'll see it in a bit." "What did you do?" "You'll know in a bit." With a smile on his lips, Li Xiqing was about to say something when he heard someone shouting outside, Sicheng, come out and see us. So many elders are looking for you. Don't hide inside. Are you afraid that people do not know how much you love each other? It was Li Beixing. Su Qianxi blushed slightly, and her heart was overflowing with sweetness. I'm going out. Okay. Su Qianxi nodded with a smile and began to play with the birthday peach in front of her. I want to be the finale. Li Sicheng's smile deepened, reached out to rub her hair, and turned to go out. Su Qianxi fixed the decoration and asked the chef to put it away to keep warm. It was cold, and she did not want Grandpa to eat a cold birthday peach, which would not be good. After everything was done, Su Qianxi walked out of the kitchen and into the public bathroom outside. In order to make a birthday peach, she had been holding back for a long time. When she came out of the bathroom and was washing her hands, a waitress came in. When she saw Su Qianxi, she was pleasantly surprised and said, Mrs. Li, right? Yes. Su Qianxi looked at her while washing her hands. Mr. Li was looking for you just now. I think you're in the bathroom. He asked me to bring you to Hall 888 to wait for him. Su Qianxi smiled happily and wiped her hands dry with 2 pieces of tissue. She turned around and said, Okay, thank you. I'll take you there. It's a bit far. Well, thank you. The hotel was very large. In addition to the largest banquet hall, there were countless smaller halls and private rooms on this floor. The waiter took Su Qianxi around a corridor, and there were fewer and fewer people around. Su Qianxi's feet were sore. Looking at the room numbers around her, she muttered, Why is it so far? The waiter smiled and said, Mr. Li said he wants to give you a surprise. You'll know when you arrive. Hearing that, Su Qianxi's smile widened and she quickly followed the waiter to room 888. We're here. I'll take my leave first. Thank you. Su Qianxi thanked him and walked in. However, the room was empty. The cutlery was perfectly placed, and there was no trace of it having been opened. She felt something was wrong and called, Mr. Li? No one answered. Su Qianxi walked in and found a large garbage truck in the corner. How could there be such a thing in a private room of a hotel? Su Qianxi had a bad feeling and wanted to run away. However, a strong force suddenly grabbed her neck. She struggled, and her first reaction was to scream. Chapter 378. Kingstown First Hospital. The hospital had been open for decades, and it was not that the hospital had never received a premature birth, but it was the first time that a premature birth could attract so much attention, even for the old doctors who had worked for more than a decade. Outside the delivery room, there were more than 10 people gathered. Although they were separated by a screen, it was obvious that some of them were secretly filming, some were doing a live broadcast, and some were preparing a press release at the last minute. Qingyu personally came to watch in case of any accidents. God knew how long she had waited for this moment. Tang Menjing was a mistress, and everyone had the right to punish her. She had seen her boss being wronged by this woman with her own eyes. It was all because of Tang Menjing that the boss's wife almost divorced her boss. It was all because of this child. Now that the highlight was finally here, Qingyu was excited. As long as the child was born and a paternity test was done in front of everyone, then Tang Menjing would have nothing to say, right? At that time, the entire Kingstown would know what kind of person Tang Menjing was. The sound of slapping people in the face was simply refreshing. There are too many people. Don't all pile up here. A nurse said impatiently. Go out and wait. What's so interesting about giving birth? Qingyu consciously shrank to the back. One of the reporters from the news agency gestured for her to keep quiet. There were more than a dozen people at the scene, but no one made a sound. Seeing this, the nurse knew that they could not be driven away and went directly into the delivery room. There were footsteps outside, which were somewhat familiar. Qingyu looked over and saw it was Rong Rui. Seeing that it was him, she froze and shouted, Hey, what are you doing here? Seeing his first love giving birth, he wouldn't come to ruin it again, would he? Rong Rui looked at Qingyu, his sharp eyes slightly softened, and said, I'm here to end it. End it? Qingyu repeated. When she came back to her senses, Rong Rui had already taken out a card from nowhere. After swiping the card, he opened the door of the delivery room and walked in. Qingyu's eyes widened and blurted out, Damn, how dare he! As soon as Rong Rui pushed the door in, the doctors in the delivery room all looked over. Hey, you can't just come in. Get out. A nurse shouted in horror and came up to chase him away. But Rong Rui didn't care. He walked up and shouted, Menjing, it's me. Tang Menjing screamed in pain, but when she heard Rong Rui's voice, her eyes lit up and she shouted, Rong Rui, Rong Rui. Tears fell uncontrollably. She reached out to him. Rong Rui, I'm here. Let him in. No, this is the delivery room. Get out of here. No, let him in, or I will not give birth. Tang Menjing yelled, her face pale and her forehead covered in cold sweat. The pain made Tang Menjing dizzy, and she could barely see anything. She didn't know how Rong Rui negotiated with the doctor. 10 minutes later, Rong Rui walked over wearing protective clothing and a mask, looking down at her. Tang Menjing's legs were stretched apart. From Rong Rui's angle, he could see the blood flowing down. Chapter 379. Every time, when she needed him the most, he would be there for her. Handsome, like a god, he would help her solve everything. However, she was blinded by Li Xicheng, the man who was not destined to belong to her. During the time she was imprisoned, she had thought about many things. Many things. If she could do it all over again, she would not pester Li Xicheng and would cherish the person in front of her. Fortunately, there was still a chance for her to turn the tables. After giving birth to the illegitimate child, she would settle down and be with Rong Rui. Tang Menjing smiled, holding Rong Rui's hand, and called, Rong Rui, yes. Rong Rui held her hand back, but his eyes were no longer full of love. Tang Menjing was in pain and did not notice the slight change in Rong Rui. The nurse's hands kept pushing her belly. Tang Menjing turned her head and said, during this time, I have thought a lot. Rong Rui held her hand and did not speak. After I give birth, when I go back, I will marry you. Tang Menjing gasped, sweating. Don't talk, the nurse shouted. Tang Menjing held Rong Rui's hand tightly and did not listen to the nurse. With a pale face, she struggled to ask, okay? Last time you proposed to me, I did not say yes. Now, I say yes, okay. Rong Rui held her hand, wearing a mask on his face. His eyes were cold, and his voice was slow. No. Hearing that, Tang Menjing widened her eyes and stared at him. Rong Rui's eyes were cold, looking at her. Rong Rui has been killed by you. Have you forgotten? Tang Menjing's heart seemed to be clenched tightly, so painful that she could not breathe. Looking at him, she felt extremely unfamiliar. Was this Rong Rui? Was this the man who once vowed to protect her for the rest of her life? He once said that whether she loved him or not, he was willing to be with her. He said it with his own mouth. However, at this moment, Rong Rui's eyes were cold. There wasn't even the slightest bit of tenderness and love from before. Why did it turn out like this? Tang Menjing's body trembled violently. The doctors and nurses were shocked and shouted, do not affect the patient's mood. Rong Rui did not listen and continued, when you chose Li Xicheng and me and pushed me to the bodyguards, I was already dead. I committed suicide in the villa you lived in. Do you remember? Tang Menjing was in so much pain that she almost fainted, but her heart ached even more. She screamed, scram. Get out. A doctor pulled Rong Rui up and forcibly separated his hands. He lifted him up and kicked and pushed him out of the room. However, Tang Menjing's breathing became more and more rapid. Clutching the railing of the bed, she cried, why? Rong Rui's words and attitude had easily shattered the belief that she had always held onto and firmly believed in. Rong Rui, Rong Rui. Tang Menjing cried. Why, did you forget that Rong Rui was killed by your own hands? Have you forgotten? Have you forgotten? Oh no, the patient is having an emotional breakdown and is bleeding profusely. You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.